So roll with it and turn today into Wednesday with a scratch card. Make today Wednesday with a scratch card from the National Lottery. Your numbers make amazing happen. Search Dream Big, Play Small. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
The UK, online and on DAB. Talk Radio on the Hour Headlines.
From the Sky News Centre at 10, a Metropolitan Police officer who was shot inside a South London custody suite has been named as Sergeant Matt Ratana. The 54-year-old died in hospital after a man armed with a revolver opened fire in Croydon this morning. The 23-year-old suspect also shot himself and is in a critical but stable condition. The Forces Commissioner, Cressida Dick, is warning against speculation surrounding the officer's death.
I do understand that there is great concern about how this happened, how this could have happened. And I want to reassure everybody the facts will be established. We owe that to Matt. And of course, we owe that to other police officers.
More than 17 million people in the UK will be living under local lockdown measures from tomorrow. New restrictions are coming into force in Leeds, Blackpool, Wigan, Stockport and parts of Wales due to rising rates of coronavirus. They won't be allowed to mix with each other's households. Dr. Margaret Harris from the World Health Organization thinks lockdowns should be a last option.
We prefer to see strengthening of the tracking, tracing, the commitment by every citizen to quarantining, to self-isolating when they're in contact, to ensuring that they break the transmission.
Nearly 6,900 people tested positive for coronavirus in the latest daily figures. Scientists believe the reproduction rate is now between 1.2 and 1.5. Revolution Bars says it could be forced to shut some of its sites to avoid going bust. The company says it's looking at restructuring options after the introduction of a 10 p.m. curfew on hospitality venues. Tomorrow's League Two match between Cheltenham and Grimsby has been postponed due to a Grimsby player getting COVID-19. All players in the squad are now facing a period of self-isolation at home. And Princess Eugenie is pregnant. Buckingham Palace says the Queen's granddaughter is expecting her baby early next year. That's the latest. I'm Daryl Jackson.
Talk Radio. Talk Radio. Across the UK. Late night with Cristo Foufas on Talk Radio.
Evening all, how are you? Late night here on Talk Radio with you till 1 o'clock. And this is the show where we look back on the week's news. We tend to have a little bit more fun on a Friday. Having said that, I think that, certainly for the first hour, I think that we need to be a little bit more reflective this evening because it doesn't feel much like a fun night, does it? I don't know about you, but it's so sad when anyone dies, right? Let's get that straight first. But it's really sad, I think, especially poignant, especially, I don't know about you, but it kind of gets me in the gut when a blue light service dies looking after us. And I know we can knock the police, and I think we've got reason to sometimes knock the police a little. We've got reason to critique what they do sometimes. But essentially, this is someone who died today who was trying to look after us, who was doing a job that probably you and I would be highly unlikely to want to do. I know I would never want to do that job. I'd never be a firefighter. I'd never be a policeman. I could never do that job. I could never be one of those people that would run towards danger. I'd like to think, in a situation where if something happened in the street or if the chips were down, I would be one of those people that would step up. But would I choose a profession where that was the case? Absolutely not. I haven't got the bottle. I'm totally honest and upfront about that. So I always feel when you hear about whether it be the story that we've really, really focused on this programme, the death of PC Andrew Harper, which of course we discussed many times over the last few months, and now Matt Ratana, 54 years of age, shot at 2:15 this morning by a man at Croydon Custody Centre in South London. Officers and paramedics treated him at the scene, but he was taken to hospital and died, and it marks the first time a police officer has been shot and killed on duty since the two officers in September 2012. He is the 10th police officer to have been killed in the line of duty in the UK in the last decade. Now, many of the newspapers, as are you, quite outraged about how this situation could have happened. How did the officers miss that he was carrying a gun? How did a suspect that was handcuffed manage to shoot himself as well as a police officer? To what extent was this suspect searched? To what level was he searched? Was it a very cursory search? Was it a much more thorough search? Was he searched before he got into the station? Was he searched after he got into the station? Was he unsupervised? Was he among anyone else? Did any of the COVID rules affect the situation? I'm sorry to ask this question as well, but did any of the sensitivities around searching suspects stop, perhaps, this being discovered first? Because if it did, I'm not trying to make a political point here, but I think it's important if it did, we get to the bottom of it, because if there is a situation where the sensitivities that police officers might have about searching certain people, and I don't know the details of the suspect, so I don't even know whether what I'm saying is relevant, but certainly I think it's a fair comment to say that the police are under immense pressure when it comes to the kinds of searches that they do on suspects. Did that have anything to do with it? I think is a perfectly valid and legitimate question to ask. So there are so many questions that we can ask about this, and not only in the first hour will we be looking back on the week's news and of course all of the developments regarding COVID and the restrictions that have now been in force for a day or two, the 10 o'clock curfew and the like. So obviously we'll look back on some of those stories, but I do think it's really important as well that we take some time to reflect on this story tonight, because I really want to know from you, firstly, how you feel hearing about this, but secondly, do you think that perhaps we haven't shown enough appreciation towards the police? Do you think perhaps there's been an atmosphere of toxicity around the police that perhaps has led to a climate where something like this could happen? Do you think that we've made it more difficult for the police in some of the conversations that we've been having? Do you think that perhaps in the police attempting to do the right thing, in trying to be respectful and make sure that everyone's happy with what they're doing, do you think we've almost tied one hand behind their back in some situations? And again, I'm just speculating at the moment, because there are still facts that are coming out about this. We know that the suspect was 23, from what I understand. He managed to fire the gun with his hands behind his back. He hit the officer, Sergeant Ratana, and hit him several times at point blank range. I just don't understand how that happened. And the attacker's weapon went off again in the chaos afterwards. It wounded him, but he remains alive in a critical condition. And the sergeant involved died in hospital. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call if you want to reflect on this story, if you want to discuss perhaps the climate that you think might have led to this. I'll also be happy to continue the conversation that Howard was having about whether it's time to arm the police permanently. I don't think I'd be happy for that, because I think if we armed the police immediately, we're going to look at criminals being more armed, and we would have a situation much more closely aligned to what happens in America. And although gun crime is a problem here, I think and this is going to sound like a terrible thing to say, but I think if I had the lesser of the two, if I had to choose out the two evils, knife crime is probably one that is, it's a horrific problem that we have, but I would rather it stick to that than it move on to then having a huge level of gun crime among gangs in London. I'm not saying that doesn't happen now, but I don't think it happens to the extent that it could do if we start talking about arming the police. Let's talk to William, who's in Oxfordshire. Evening, William.
Hi, Christos. Good evening.
We're a bit more reflective tonight.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Great. Can you hear me all right?
you're wearing that awful sweater again.
This is my Friday jumper, William. I think you'll find that this is if anyone is not watching on YouTube, let me just describe. I'm wearing a very, very understated blue jumper. It's about 2 or 3 different shades of blue, but you can barely tell the difference between it's like a check pattern, and you can barely tell the difference between the different shades of blue.
It doesn't work on camera.
It doesn't work on camera. Well, then turn the camera off and listen to me through the radio then. Turn the camera off and listen to me through the radio.
Yeah, I haven't got YouTube on at the moment, actually. I just briefly saw it.
How do you know what my jumper looks like then?
No, I had it on earlier, but I turned it off.
Anyway, let's talk about more serious matters, because, you call to reflect on this story.
I feel very awful for the victim. No, I feel terrible for the victim. It's been talked about all day long. I've just put a pair of handcuffs on, and I was trying to work out how I get it out of my wherever it was, and then shoot the poor victim, and then turn around and shoot it on myself.
Well, do we know for sure? Because I've heard conflicting reports about whether the suspect deliberately turned the gun on himself, or whether the suspect was shot in the ensuing struggle whilst trying to retrieve the gun. But either way, I don't know how he would have managed to. Either way, I don't know how he would have managed. And I think this is going to be
very hard to do much with a pair of handcuffs on.
But absolutely, you would wonder how someone would manage to do that, right?
Very strange. Yeah. But it's taking our eye off the ball of also what all the other awful things that are going on. It's an awful incident. It's been talked about all day long. I think in life, I think science has got to the level where it doesn't need to sort of go anymore, and academia as well. And I feel that people shouldn't have children unless they can actually homeschool them. I've come to my conclusion. Or at least one of the parents.
Where did you get to homeschooling all children from today's incident?
To change the awful subject of the poor victim being shot. We can't.
No. I know that, but are you saying that if more people were homeschooled, it would have been less likely that what happened today happened?
No.
Okay.
I just think that homeschooling is a very good idea. If one parent can do it, I mean, there's enough on the internet to teach the parent, and then do away with schools. It'd be less money on the state. I'm very worried about this deficit that's going out of control. I don't know quite what the government are up to. I mean, it's alarming.
And do you think that maybe that's going to contribute to? But do you think maybe that's going to contribute to what's happening? Because obviously we've seen police budgets cut as well, drastically, and the number of officers cut drastically. Now, I know that work is being done to put those officers back on the street, but that can't have helped this situation either.
Yeah. I don't know anything about these new COVID police. I mean, where are they coming from? Are they the illegal immigrants? I have so little faith with the government. Maybe these illegal immigrants are in barracks being trained to be COVID police. I mean, this has nothing to do with the normal police force, so I have a high regard for.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would be interesting to see as well whether, I think that people will be asking about the COVID rules as well, and whether they have contributed in any way.
They just don't tell us anything, do they?
In any way, shape, or form. William, thanks so much for that. Take a look at the tweets that are coming in on this. Marty says, Christo, I've had the unfortunate experience of wearing both the old and new type of handcuffs. There is no way one can get a gun out of hiding and then shoot the officer at point blank range and then himself. I'm not going to say what you've written at the end of your text, but essentially you're accusing the Met Police of being dishonest on this. Why would they be dishonest when there are other officers there? I mean, I suppose we don't know the other officers' statements yet. Also, Marty, sometimes facts change as they emerge. I don't understand how someone in handcuffs could do that. I don't really know about handcuffs. I mean, genuinely, if you are someone who has ever worked in the police force, or you're someone who has worked in a police station, or in a situation where you would perhaps be familiar with this. I'd be really interested to hear from you about how you think this could have happened, wearing handcuffs. Because I take what you're saying, it does seem utterly far-fetched and bizarre. But perhaps there were reasons that we don't know. As I said myself, perhaps there were reasons around COVID and social distancing and the way in which the search could be carried out, the way in which the cuffs were put on. Maybe we can't assume that things were done in the standard fashion because, of course, we're not in a standard time. So I suspect we're going to have to look at those things as well. But again, I just want to stress, this is all speculation at this point. We'll see, obviously, what happens going forward as more facts on this emerge. 0344 499 1000. By the way, we'll also discuss over the next 45 minutes. I'm going to be joined by Ingrid Tarrant, who, of course, is great at looking back at some of the big news stories of the week. We'll talk about what you want to happen now. We'll talk about whether you still have faith in scientists, faith in those in charge. Do you still have trust as to what you're being told? I've never in my life known, not just Boris, because you know I love a Boris bash, but I've never known a situation, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, where so shortly after such a big majority, a government is so distrusted. And it's a real... By April or May, I would say that people just started saying, right, this is a load of old bunkum, which is a word you can use. That's like 5 months after the election. Have you ever heard of anything like it? An 80-seat majority and no one trusts a word they say. So how many voters have they lost since the election? How many voters are now saying, great, they were brilliant on Brexit, but my God, they're incompetent on anything else? Can your mental health cope with any more COVID restrictions? That's another one we've been talking about. And of course, we have Rishi's bailout. And, well, looks like it would be quite good if you want to keep your staff on, but as there isn't much incentive to do that, it may not be the silver bullet we need after all. So lots and lots that we've been discussing all this week. We also had a chat this week about anti-LGBT views, whether you should lose your job in a school if you are very, very vocal about those views. We had that conversation last night. More than happy to revisit that with you. And of course, don't forget, from 11, we'll have the Any Other Business Hour. You can call about anything you like. And we'll also do Woke of the Week during that time as well. So lots that we're going to be discussing. But of course, I think it's only right and proper we reflect on the biggest story of the day with the events in Croydon. Anything you would like to say about that? Any light you want to shed on how you think this could have happened? Anything you want to say about the context of the society we're living in that might have led to a climate where this would happen? Well, have your say. You can get through right now. 0344 499 1000. The Any Other Business Hour from 11, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's a time of the week where you can call about anything you like. I mean, you have to have a point. You have to have something to say. It may be a different angle on a news story that we've been covering all this week on Talk Radio. It might be something completely different. It might be some story that you think we should have been talking about that you can't believe we've not discussed. It might be just anything you want to get off your chest. From 11, can you think of any other national radio stations where you set the agenda for such a long period? I would say probably not. There are Twitter and Instagram and Facebook all taking credit for social media when speech radio invented it. And from 11 tonight, just like on social media when they copied us, you get to set the agenda. You can get your calls in now for Any Other Business, because every single week we never have enough time to get through the calls. And every single week, I'll be honest with you, do you want to know a little production secret here? Every week at about 10:30, 11:15, I look at the switchboard and I think, oh God, I wonder if Any Other Business is going to work, 'cause we haven't got that many calls for Any Other Business. And then by about 11:45, I'm saying we're not going to get through all of these calls. Well, they should have called earlier. We're not going to get through all of these calls. So really, if you want to get on air, get in now, because we usually do it first come, first serve as well. So we will number the calls for Any Other Business. So if you want to get on, I would get in much quicker. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call. It's late night. It's Talk Radio. And the time now is 19 minutes past 10.
Talk Radio.
Drive with Dan Wootton on Talk Radio with fabulous magazine from The Sun. Listen to the hardest working Dan in show business for breaking news, straight talking opinion and exclusive interviews.
Plus, I'll be joined by The Sun's fabulous magazine squad to discuss everything from fashion, health and new beauty trends to the latest celebrity and entertainment stories.
Drive with Dan Wootton, Monday afternoon from 4 on Talk Radio with fabulous magazine from The Sun. Pick up the paper every day for your dose of Fab Daily.
It's great to be out on the road again. Makes you appreciate life's little treats and just how easy it is to get them with BP Me Rewards. A new outfit from M&S, presents for the kids from Love to Shop. I can even spend my points on fuel or donate my rewards to good causes. Get the app or pick up a card at your BP checkout. Oh, which reminds me, my car needs petrol.
BP Me Rewards. Little rewards, more often. Download BP Me Rewards in the App Store to find out more. Visit bpmerewards.co.uk for more information. Terms and conditions apply.
At Wix, we want to keep things simple as tradespeople get back out on the job. Get instant access to your 10% Trade Pro discount with the Wix Trade Pro app. Save every time you shop. Not a member? Download the app to register. Always cheaper with Wix Trade Pro. Terms apply.
Thinking about going to Europe in 2021? It may seem like a long way off, but you'll need to act now. Because we've left the EU, you'll need to check and make changes before you go. From passports to travel insurance. Find out everything you need to know about travel to Europe next year at gov.uk/transition. Act now. Check the guidance, make the changes, and let's get going.
Mindful Chef, Trustpilot's highest rated recipe box. Delicious recipes delivered to your door with fresh local ingredients, 100% British meat, sustainably caught fish, and no refined carbs. Go to mindfulchef.com now and get £20 off across your first 2 boxes with fast delivery. Mindful Chef, healthy eating made easy. New customers only. T's and C's apply. Go to mindfulchef.com.
Philip Schofield here. At WeBuyAnyCar.com, you could find out how much your car's worth in under 60 seconds, which is no time at all when you think about it. It's not even long enough to make a proper cup of tea. If the bag's not in for at least a minute and a half, it's going to taste like dishwater. To find out how much your car's worth in less time than it takes to make a proper cup of tea, enter your reg number now at WeBuyAnyCar.com. Okay, apparently some people do like weak tea. Each to their own.
Admin fee may apply. For more information, see WeBuyAnyCar.com/info.
Late Night with Cristo Foufas on Talk Radio.
Evening all, late night here on Talk Radio. Lots that we've been discussing tonight as we look back on the week's news, but of course reflect on the horrific events in Croydon that took place in the early hours of this morning. It doesn't feel right to sort of be fun this first hour because it's awful what's happened. And again, I don't know about you, and I just get really sad when I hear about these stories. I get especially sad when I hear about someone who would do a job I'd never do, would do a job that you would probably never do, putting themselves in harm's way for us and ending up losing their life for it. And I know they know that when they take the job, and I know that that's part of the danger involved, but we really should take a moment to be grateful. I know the police have their flaws. So do you. I know that there are bad pockets in the police. So do you. But I also know that there are some fantastic pockets in the police, that they do a good job a lot of the time. We might get annoyed with some of their pettiness. We might get annoyed with some of their enforcement over some of these COVID rules, which, let's remember, the government are actually in charge of, not the police themselves. We might get annoyed when they've had to go at people playing in their front gardens, saying that they shouldn't be outside their house during the COVID rules. I get all of that. I get it all. And all of that we can debate till the cows come home. But on a day like today, I think we just need to take a moment and appreciate that these people put themselves in harm's way for us. And that's basically what I want to say about that. But of course, you can say what you like about this, how you think it happened, the climate that we have that got us to this stage, and of course anything else. 0344 499 1000. And as I said just before the break, if you want to get your calls in now for the Any Other Business Hour where you set the agenda, we'll do that from 11. And as I said, you can get your calls in now for that. We'll be doing first come, first serve, any other business. So it's FCFSAOB. Ingrid Tarrant is a TV presenter. She's a journalist. She's an award-winning travel writer, and she's a mate. Ingrid Tarrant, hello to you.
Hello. I love the last bit best.
Good, because I haven't spoken to you, my love, for a long, long time. I don't think you and I have spoken since I changed my slot, so to speak.
No, exactly. We haven't. And it's going to be really odd saying good evening instead of good morning with bleary eyes.
Absolutely. And, you know, I could make a very crude joke about people you say good morning to, but I won't. And the number of people you might say good morning to, but I won't, Ingrid Tarrant, because I am a gentleman.
You are.
Let's, though, reflect on, firstly, the really sad story today with the events that took place in Croydon earlier today, a police officer losing their lives. Do we perhaps get a bit complacent with our appreciation for the police? Are we perhaps a bit too quick to legitimately sometimes knock them without perhaps appreciating the risk they put themselves in?
Do you know, it's last summer I went to quite a few public events, and there were police officers everywhere with their full protection gear, and they were armed. And I thought, here we are. I was very conscious of, you know, terrorist attacks and stuff like that. And I felt protected, but I still felt vulnerable. And as I was leaving, there were no awful events that happened at these big public events. Every time I saw one of these police officers, they were normally in groups of 3 actually, I said, thank you for looking after us. I don't take it for granted. I'm conscious of it. And I think they are fantastic because they are putting their lives and their necks on the line for us to protect us.
Well, you know, I was watching a video earlier today about some transport police trying to get someone to wear their mask on public transport. Now, personally, I think that's actually the police's job. I'm not that into people shaming each other on public transport. I feel like it's...
Oh, I would.
I'm not sure I would, because I'd never know whether someone had a...
They'd hit you.
Well, I would never know whether someone had a legitimate medical reason to not wear a mask, and so then I wouldn't want to shame them in case they did. That would be my fear. You're right, some people might just not wear a mask because they don't believe in them or want to have some sort of a moment of selfishness, but there are some people that might legitimately not be able to wear one.
Well, I suppose it's a way of approaching and say, you know, is there a reason why you're not wearing a mask?
But then they'd have to declare that to me, and who am I to ask them their medical history as to why they're not wearing a mask?
You have every right to ask, because they are actually, they're exposing you, they're making you vulnerable. So I think you have every right to ask. I think we all do.
Well, anyway, the point I'm making about that is that there were some police officers who were doing that, and the amount of abuse they were getting, the guy they were trying to put the mask on was just being frankly feral and rude. And I just thought to myself, you know, whether we approve or agree with people wearing masks or not, whether we approve or agree with people enforcing masks being worn, at the end of the day, that is the job that has been tasked to the police. That is something that they have been told they need to do. And I just found some of the abuse that they were getting and the way in which people were acting towards them, I just found it absolutely shameful, actually.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. But it doesn't just happen there. It happens in hospitals, in A&E, and it's horrible how abused these people are that are really just there to look after us. Sorry, I've got my cat.
Oh, no, that's all right. That's all right. Oh, yes, I can see. I got a brief flash of pussy on camera, Ingrid. Now, tell me. I just literally saw it flash past. Tell me. So, of course, we have this horrific story, but of course, as you rightfully point out, we've just been discussing COVID in the context of the police enforcing some of these rules. Firstly, how do you feel about the rising infection rate and some of the measures that the government have taken, which some people perhaps are saying aren't going far enough? Some people are saying that they don't really make any sense. Some people saying that they go way too far already. So where do you stand on this, Ingrid?
Well, first of all, you are right in saying it's very divided, because some people are saying, you know, full lockdown, and other people are saying not. The thing is, we can't deny the fact that the rates are going up. There are more admissions in the hospitals, and there are now increasing number of deaths. This isn't just in England. This is happening in a lot of places in Europe, even Scandinavia.
I don't think our death rate, by the way, yet is sort of skyrocketing. I just want to make that point. You're right, hospital admissions are, but at the moment,
no, but there have been. I've got some statistics.
Oh
here,
yeah, go
but
on. I love a statistic.
Oh,
see, there you go. You get us all excited for your statistics, and then you don't present them to us.
Down. I will find them. I'll rummage around. It'll be a bit noisy, but anyway. But they have the admissions have gone up, and so actually have the deaths. But you see, I feel really sorry for Boris. I would feel sorry for anybody that is actually trying to keep this under control, because nobody knows what's right and what's wrong. The only thing is that we do know that the lockdown helped. We do know that sort of if the safe distancing helped, that's a fact right across the board.
But can you honestly, sorry, Ingrid, can you really say that though? Because I read something this week. I'm not saying lockdown didn't work, but I'm not sure. The thing I have a problem with Boris on is that I think he dithered and he didn't have the balls, frankly, to go far enough when it was necessary. Because I read this week that 70% of working age COVID deaths were people that were infected before Boris locked down, which to me is proof positive. We should have locked down sooner and harder.
Well,
had we done that, perhaps we could have done it for a shorter period of time. And
yes.
also we wouldn't have been constantly playing catch up since.
No, but you see, now I wonder, because I was very much thinking, don't do lockdown, a herd immunity approach. And the people that were aware that they had underlying problems, the elderly who are, have a propensity to kind of like picking up things very quickly and not being able to have the strength to sort of, get rid of them, they're killers for the elderly. They would be the ones really that would actually have to be more cautious. And I thought that that's where Boris was going.
Well, it was.
Go
I mean,
out
that
there,
was
carry
what
on.
everyone said until they realised with the
Yes,
Imperial
but
College
then-
modelling.
But then the thing that came into it, and I think that this has a huge bearing on the new direction that he took, because suddenly there's, well, hang on a minute, if everybody's out there and they're getting it, this herd immunity type of thing is going to work, and it's going to help in the long run. In the short term, the hospitals are going to be completely inundated. So I think the U-turn was more, we have to protect the NHS.
But the NHS never hit capacity. I mean, this
And
is
it
the
never
point.
did.
And this is
No,
the point. I mean,
exactly.
because they said that it was obsessed about, but this is the thing that I find most shameful, right? I understand, I appreciate what you're saying, and I can understand that a prime minister trying to come up with the balance of when to lock down, how hard to lock down, what the science is saying, how far away we are from other countries. That's a balancing act that I don't think any of us would like, though I can't say I am completely convinced that Boris has the eye for detail or the stamina, frankly, to question those people in a way in which I would be happy. I mean, I've spoken a lot this week, but could you imagine Margaret Thatcher in that room with the chief scientist and the chief medical officer? She would handbag them. She would question them to the point where they were probably aged 10 years. She would not let them leave that room until she had had full and frank admissions of absolutely everything. And I don't feel we have that leader in Boris. What I find unforgivable is what you were saying about, hospital capacity was never filled. And the reason for that was because the NHS clinical guidance published by this government was to send people with COVID, elderly people with COVID, back to care homes. They deleted the advice after it became obvious that, yes, NHS capacity hadn't been breached because it was in care homes that all of these people were dying. So they clearly knew that they'd made a big mistake. And just like in so many other incidents during COVID where the government should have said, look, these are unprecedented times, we screwed up a bit, what did they do? They deleted the advice and then told us that it was a protective ring around care homes, which was an outright lie. Same again, and I know people think that I'm banging on about this, but with Dominic Cummings, that was where the trust was lost. And rather than the government saying, yeah, he made a mistake, unforgivable. It was for good reasons, but it's not right, and we apologise.
Well, they
No,
weren't good
we didn't
reasons,
get
were
that.
they?
We got gaslit to be told that it was perfectly fine to drive to Durham. Those are the things that are nothing to do, Ingrid, with trying to come up with the right decision. That's just outright incompetence and dishonesty.
I agree with you. I mean, Boris isn't one for detail. He never really was. And I actually think as well, I mean, a couple of friends of mine had COVID, and they were in hospital, intensive care, ventilators and all the rest of it. And they had it very early on in March. And to this day, they are still not functioning to capacity. They get short of breath. They have to have afternoon naps. They sort of feel a little bit sort of, fuzzy headed from time to time. They don't feel absolutely right. Boris was very close as well. And he came back to work after a few weeks, and he's just steaming ahead. I mean, it's a very demanding and tiring job in any case. But, who do you listen to? I mean, I listen to Professor Chris Whitty and Patrick Vallance, what they're called Glum and Glummer, aren't they? I also listen to...
Do they really call them? That's brilliant, Glum and Glummer.
Yeah. And it is a balance. You can't ignore science, and you can't ignore what they have discovered so far. And they are still discovering things every single day. We can't criticise what they don't know, because nobody knows.
But do you think that perhaps with good intentions, because obviously Neil Ferguson, who did the Imperial College modelling, which led the government to suddenly U-turn on lockdowns, and again, if we're going to talk about decisive government, well, Boris, again, he's not a leader because he's U-turned so many times since December. I'm surprised he's not dizzy the number of times he's done that. Again, that is not what a leader does, being so reactionary rather than proactive.
Christo, with respect, I mean, he has to change with changing information, with changing statistics
Completely.
And numbers. And this is actually, he's not the only one in the world that's doing it. They're all doing it.
But I'm talking about things though, like Ingrid, like the A-level results fiasco. I mean, that was predicted to be an absolute disaster. Yet he still went ahead with it, then had to U-turn. What about the fact that they were going to get people who were working in the NHS to have to pay this sort of patient premium if they weren't born here in the UK, and then suddenly did a U-turn on it? These aren't COVID U-turns based on new information. These are U-turns based on public perception. You're quite right. I absolutely understand that if he gets new information on COVID, it would be ridiculous to not change direction if that's the case. But those aren't the examples I'm referring to.
No, he's putting other policies within that and wrapping it around that, which is inappropriate in any case.
And so, going forward, do you think that perhaps with good intentions, if we look at what we're going to do going forward based on where we've been in the past, obviously Chris Whitty, Patrick Vallance, Neil Ferguson, before he was caught with his pants down, they have all modelled, Mr. Ferguson especially, on worst case scenarios. Now, Professor Ferguson has a history, and again, I don't say this with any malice, he's clearly good-intentioned, well-intentioned, but when it came to SARS, when it came to foot and mouth, when it came to bird flu, where he modelled for it to be far worse than it actually turned out to be. Now, that's obviously brilliant. Everyone's relieved it wasn't as bad, but is there a danger that perhaps that cautiousness has happened here?
It definitely has, because they're giving worst case scenario, aren't they? They're saying that the infection rate, sort of would be every week, and it would be however many thousand it was, and then you sort of like take that over by mid-October, it would be something like 50,000. In other countries, in Italy, for an example, or Spain and France, perhaps it is, they're saying that the numbers are doubling every 3 weeks. So therefore, it's closer to sort of 6,000 or 7,000.
Sorry, I'm not being rude, Ingrid. I'm just looking for something because I tweeted it earlier because it was hilarious. It was a letter written to, I think, the Times newspaper. I just want to read it to you because it's so funny. It says, Sir Patrick Vallance, the chief scientific advisor to the government, tells us the epidemic is doubling every 7 days. Thus, he calculates somewhat frighteningly that we will have 50,000 new infections a day by mid-October and 200 deaths a day a couple of weeks later. Applying exactly the same method, the entire population will have had COVID-19 and 11.5 million of us will be dead before Christmas Day. Shortly after New Year's Day, all human life in the United Kingdom will have ended. Merry Christmas, everyone. That's from a Mr. Chris Kirkblythe in Manchester. But you can see where people sort of look at those sorts of figures and think, well, okay, you're being overcautious, but they don't bear any relation to what's happening perhaps in fact.
No, they don't. Well, France, I've got it here. It's France and Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying their cases are doubling every 21 days. So therefore, the deaths would be, or cases actually, would be 7,000 to 8,000. That doesn't necessarily mean deaths, of course. So there's a huge difference between the prediction here of doubling every week, and then it would be 50,000. I don't think scare tactics are a good idea, and I think this sounds scary for people that are not reading between the lines and not sort of seeing it as a worst case scenario.
Well, you know what, Ingrid, we'll come back to you because I want you to think over the break. I'm going to put you in charge of the government's COVID policy, Ingrid, all right? You've got 2 minutes over the break to decide what you think we should do going forward. Also, we'll talk about whether there was an argument, we'll probably missed the boat now, but when the infections were going up for an actual short, sharp, strict lockdown rather than the 6 months of restrictions. So we'll reflect on which one of those perhaps would have been a better scenario, as well as some of the other big stories of the week. So stay with us, Ingrid Tarrant, lovely TV presenter, journalist and travel writer. We'll be back with more of your opinions on the week's news when we're back after the break here on Talk Radio.
Online, on DAB, and on the Talk Radio app. Talk Radio.
Check a Trade is the UK's #1 website for finding tradespeople. Let us help you get your home and garden in shape and maybe sort out that DIY you got a little bit carried away with. Find your local tradesperson for free today at checkatrade.com. The UK's #1. UK's #1 according to survey conducted by Deep Blue Thinking.
Fillet of fish from a dish, share box and evening frocks, Big Mac down a cul-de-sac and even under a drying rack, veggie deluxe and power cuts, medium fries in rainy skies, or maybe cheeseburgers in the bath. How daft. Wraps through cat flaps, nugs on rugs, or perhaps a McChicken sandwich to the river. Because yes, we deliver. Download Uber Eats and enjoy McDonald's at home. At participating McDonald's, see mcdonalds.co.uk/McDelivery to see if there's one near you. Serving times and delivery fee apply. See Uber Eats app.
At Ring, we've reinvented the doorbell. So no matter where you are or what time of day, you can watch over your home and the things you care about. Ring Video Doorbell streams HD video and two-way talk straight to your phone, so you can speak to whoever's at your door from anywhere.
Delivery.
Oh, great. Can you leave it round the back, please?
Sure, no problem.
And it's so simple, you can install it yourself in minutes. See, hear and speak to whoever's at your door from wherever you are with Ring Video Doorbell. Available at ring.com and selected retailers.
Hi, I'm here about the Vauxhall and offer.
Ah, yes. And how can we help you?
It says there's nothing to pay for 3 months.
That's right. And 0% interest and no deposit. And an additional £500 towards your part exchange across all our Vauxhall cars while stocks last this September.
Participating retailers. Part exchange must be registered in customer's name for minimum 90 days. Personal contract purchase. Subject to status, T's and C's 18+. Vauxhall Finance. First 3 monthly payments deferred. Vehicle orders until 5th of October 2020.
These days, everybody seems to be baking. So you give it a go. How hard can it be? Bit of kneading, bit of proving, and you bake a masterpiece. Now that feels like winning. So roll with it and turn today into Wednesday with a scratch card. Make today Wednesday with a scratch card from the National Lottery. Your numbers make amazing happen. Search Dream Big, Play Small. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
Julia Hartley-Brewer at breakfast on Talk Radio.
Join me, Julia Hartley-Brewer, every morning from 6:30 with an essential mix of straight-talking debate, heavyweight political guests and fearless comment.
Julia Hartley-Brewer at breakfast. Weekday mornings from 6:30 on Talk Radio. Late night with Cristo Foufas on Talk Radio.
17 minutes to 11 o'clock. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me tonight with you until 1 a.m. It's Cristo here on Talk Radio. We've been reflecting on the big stories of the week with Ingrid Tarrant, TV presenter, journalist, award-winning travel writer. We're also giving you the chance, and we'll keep this going after 11, to reflect on the horrific events that took place in Croydon earlier today, and whether we're making an environment where perhaps we've lost a bit of love, respect for the police. Maybe we're creating an environment with some of the COVID restrictions where we're putting those people in authorities' harm. We're making it more dangerous for them without perhaps realising it. Of course, at the moment we're speculating because we don't know whether the restrictions would have had anything to do with the way in which this suspect was dealt with, searched, or anything like that. But certainly those are the kinds of questions that that we're being asked, and that are fair to ask at this point. Ingrid Tarrant, I gave you the task over the break to decide what you think the government should do now. So where are you with these 6 months worth of 10 p.m. restrictions? I'm not really in favour of that, because I can't see that it's going to make that much difference. If you're out there socialising and mingling, you're out there. So if you're out there for 2 hours more or 3 hours more, I can't see what the problem is. If they think that it's the longer you're out there, the more likely you are to drink more and get completely drunk and then become more irresponsible, there's something to be said in that. But I mean, I think that's a minor consideration of it. What I would do, well, I like what Professor Carl Hennigan is saying, don't do it now. If you are going to have to do anything or thinking of doing anything, do it in the winter when people are in any case going to get flu and they should be at home, and then you can just deal with it that way. But right this minute now, I like the idea of that you localise and make those restrictions localised, not nationalised. I think that's too far. That's trying to crack a nut with a sledgehammer at this stage. We kind of know the trend of things, so I think that would be a more cautious way of doing it. And I think anybody that can work from home perhaps should continue to work from home, and those that don't. But isn't this part of the problem, that we've had this? And again, I really worry about people being on board with everything, because, and again, I know, and I say this appreciating that the government has not got an easy job to do, but go out, stay at home. Don't go out. Stay at home if you can, but do go to work if you can. But no, actually, now you need to stay at home. Eat out to help out, but don't get too fat, because if you're too obese, you're going to get COVID. But here's £10 towards a McDonald's. Oh, now the infection rate's gone up. So why on earth were you going out and spending time out in there? It's your fault. The infection rate is on the rise. So for me, I despair at how contradictory, confusing, and backward all of that is.
Thing was absolutely ridiculous, because most of the places that were doing that were actually the pizza express. Well, I can't say that, but pizza places and fast food places, and those are exactly what we don't want people to be eating. We should wean them off that horrible fast food culture and all the things that are unhealthy for you. That was really, really stupid. Why? If people could, it doesn't make sense. I understand the terrible, terrible problems of the, no footfall, and especially in the city and places like that, and main towns, coffee shops, little restaurants and everything are not picking up the business and everything. It's awful, but it is all part and parcel. It cannot be helped. This is happening the world over as well.
Well, see, again, I love your generosity and your magnanimousness, but I disagree. You see, do you know, Ingrid, that so much of this would be avoided if we had actually some sort of coherent and usable testing system? Because if you had a testing system that was up and running and absolutely second to none, as they have in Germany, as they've managed to get together in various other countries in time. In Germany, you can get a test within like half an hour. Here, you're trying to get a test, you can wait weeks. You've got to go across the country. If we had a testing regime that was reliable and quick, we wouldn't need these entire nationwide measures, because essentially we would be testing our way to know exactly our status and who's got what. And at the moment, we can't do that. That's
No,
a
we can't
failure
do
of
that.
government. That's a failure
I
of
mean,
government.
we have to take a little bit of responsibility ourselves, don't we? I mean, if we really believe, I mean, that so many people have shot off because they've had a cough, they've got a fever or something, and say, oh, I've got COVID, and off they go, like running up. There are an awful lot of people who are wasting precious time. I'm not denying the fact that it's wrong that sort of, they've had to go over the border to get testing because it just wasn't on their doorstep. And when they went there was nobody there to do it. That's terrible. That's a really poor admin. But on the whole, I mean, for an example, just recently, this girl I know, she's got 2 little children, and she was convinced, because one of the little girls had a terrible fever overnight, and she was convinced that this was COVID. And she called the ambulance, and they came at 4 o'clock in the morning, took her to hospital and everything, and it wasn't. It was just she had. I understand that as a mother or any person that's a caring person, if it was somebody that they knew, that of course they would worry enormously. But we can't panic all the time because they're taking up valuable time, resources.
But if we had enough tests, people could panic as much as they like, because there would be a situation where you would be able to get tested at the results quickly. At the moment, we're sort of having to ration them to those people that we see that need them the most. And as far as I'm aware, other countries aren't needing to do that. I have a friend who's got a 10-year-old at primary school, and one of the children in the class tested positive or had COVID symptoms, and so but they can't get a test for love nor money on any of them, so the whole class is now having to isolate for 14 days. Now, what a ridiculous situation that if there was a test available, they would all be able to stay in school. And when you've got a Prime Minister that speaks to the Select Committee last week and gives the completely contradictory wrong advice, saying that if a child has symptoms, they should stay in school until they get tested, which is against the Public Health England advice, which is against
the other way around, that they should go home and get tested. And
yes, that's what I'm saying. But Boris Johnson gave the wrong information a week ago. He gave information to a select committee in Parliament, saying that a child needs to stay in school if they have symptoms, and they only come off school once they've got the test result, which goes against the advice on his own Public Health England website. It goes against the advice on the NHS website. Yet our Prime Minister doesn't seem to know the advice, whether it's correct or not, and all of that feeds into, I'm afraid, and maybe people think I'm being too harsh, but to me that all feeds into having a Prime Minister. If a Prime Minister can't get his head around the basic detail like that, how can we have faith that he sat there and analysed for hours what the best thing is to do, that he is a man across every part of the detail? He can't even give the correct advice that's published on his own NHS website.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have to say, as I said earlier, I mean, he seems to be a person that doesn't pay any attention to detail and then kind of like waffles his way through. But going back to testing, and because of these problems, did you see in the story, and I'm going off piece a little bit,
no, that's fine, go on.
Subject, but it's all connected, about the dogs that are they're testing, and they're absolutely amazing. I'll just find it here. They are all part of. I've highlighted all these things.
Oh, it was in the airport. I saw it was they had because I saw someone retweeted it. It might have been Ricky Gervais or something saying, dogs to the rescue again, because dogs have got, is it something like a 99% accuracy rate in sniffing COVID symptoms?
Yes, it's a medical detection dogs. It's a pioneering British charity, the Medical Detection Dogs. It's absolutely fantastic. They've been used for doing sniffing for drugs and all sorts of things, but now also for urine, for cancer, other various like other diseases. I'll tell you what it is. This is extraordinary. They can detect odour concentrations of around 1 part per trillion. The equivalent of, this is where it's amazing, put in perspective, the equivalent of 1 teaspoon of sugar in 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
I love dogs. We don't deserve dogs. That's why if anyone is cruel to a dog, they just need to be shot, frankly, because we don't deserve those creatures. Those creatures are phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
But why aren't we using these dogs? It's instant. they can straight away tell whether you have COVID or not. They just give the scent to them, they pick it up on it, and there's something like a 90% accuracy.
Well, why weren't we using them at airports for the last 6 months? Why from March onwards did we not have, if we couldn't have tests at airports because we had no testing system, fine, but why weren't we looking into this back at March? This is where I find this so frustrating, because it's not you or mine, it's not yours or my job to think of these things. This is why we have very, very highly paid advisors, very, very highly paid ministers. Boris, I saw an article this week saying Boris is like the Thames whale, basically, because he used all his energy to get to Westminster, and now he's just flailing around dying. And that is actually, I think, the most perfect analogy for where Boris is at the moment, and I really can't see him lasting. I cannot see him being Prime Minister by the end of next year in any way, shape or form, to be honest.
Well, people are getting really fed up, and actually, I mean, the Daily Mail, I read the Daily Mail. Sorry if people sort of
no, there's nothing wrong. But you read it. You read what you like, my love.
Well, it's just a quickie to read, but they're gunning for him. I mean, it's quite unlike.
Well, when you've lost the Mail, when you've lost the Daily Mail.
Well, that's exactly it. That says it all, doesn't it?
Tell me, what do you think, just finally, on this 10 o'clock curfew? Do you think it makes sense? I saw videos online in the early hours of this morning that people had taken last night, and it was chaos at 10 p.m. Streets absolutely packed, public transport absolutely rammed, because everyone's kicked out at the same time. And again, I just look at this and I think, how on earth could you not have predicted that that was exactly what was going to happen?
Well, you see, now in some places what they're doing in restaurants, and I was reading about Richard Caring, because he was terribly upset about how this is affecting, you know, he's got all the wonderful eateries in London and how it's affecting the group. And he said that they are being really responsible at the way they do it. They test people when they come in. They have the thing, so it's a track and trace thing if somebody has anything perhaps or whatever. And he said, and when they leave the restaurant, they don't leave en masse. They leave with a decent social distancing apart from the ones in their little sort of like group bubble, whatever you want to call it. Whereas this is exactly what you're saying. So they're all at 1 minute, the last orders go, and they're just all squeezing out. And where's the social distancing? It all goes completely to pot. So that is a bit nanas, and it's not helping.
And how could that just not have been foreseen? That's where I don't get it. But listen, always really good to catch up with you, Ingrid Tarrant. When all this madness is over, we must get you back in the studio. And of course, we will speak to you again one Friday going forward. But Ingrid Tarrant, for now, thank you very much indeed for looking back on some of the big week's stories for us. And of course, you have the chance to react to what you've just heard. Am I being too harsh? I'm really welcome to you saying to me that I've been way too harsh on what the government's doing. And have I been harsh on the sort of contradictions and the sort of confusion over all of this? 0344 499 1000 is the number to call. Coming up, well, it's any other business. You get to set the agenda. I'll throw a few topics into on Talk Radio.
Talk Radio.
Nissan Sunderland factory is building cars again, and we're ready to get Britain moving. That's why this summer selected Nissan models come with a 3-month payment holiday, plus free roadside assistance, all at only 0% APR representative. We've built the cars, we've built the offers. Now it's time to get you back in the driving seat. See how we can help you at nissan.co.uk/payment holiday. And together, let's move beyond. PCP Nissan Finance. Order and register by 30th September 2020. Participating dealers only. Nissan. Innovation that excites.
Buy the latest iPhone from Vodafone. And thanks to our annual upgrade promise, you can then get the latest iPhone every year with no upgrade fees. Yeah, you heard it right. It's simple. Trade in your iPhone after 12 months when you get a new plan, and you can enjoy that new iPhone feeling every year. It's a great time to switch to Vodafone. Ready? Vodafone.
Upgrade after 12 months, current contract will end. A new 24-month term upfront and monthly cost will apply. Terms and exclusions at vodafone.co.uk.
The beautiful game, beautifully written. Keep up with the Premier League throughout the season with expert previews and in-depth analysis from our ultimate team of writers, including Henry Winter, Matt Dickinson and Wayne Rooney. Don't miss all the action, every game, every goal, every week. Only in the Times and the Sunday Times.
Sunny here. At Asda, there's a great big rollback event with thousands of products on rollback. There's 36 Ariel all-in-one pods. Was £8.50, now £5.95. Pocket tap time. Save money, live better. That's Asda price.
Selected stores and lines, subject to availability. Offer ends 4th of October.
The Premier League has kicked off. The golf's in full swing and Formula One is hotting up on Now TV.
It's lights out and away we go!
And you can catch the action for only £25 a month with an offer on the Now TV Sky Sports Pass, which you can cancel anytime.
That is remarkable.
You'll get access to all 11 Sky Sports channels for just £25 per month.
It's an absolute stunner!
But you'll have to act fast. Search Now TV Sports. Offer ends October 4th. Pass auto renews at $33.99 per month after 12 months unless cancelled. 18 plus exclusions apply. Content streamed to compatible device. Full terms at nowtv.com.
Across the UK, online and on DAB. Talk Radio on the Hour headlines.
From the Sky News Centre at 11, the police officer who was shot dead at a custody centre in South London has been named as 54-year-old Matt Rotana.
His colleagues knew him as a big guy, big in stature, big in heart, friendly, capable, a lovely man, highly respected by his colleagues, officers, staff, and of course, by members of the public.
Metropolitan Police Commissioner Cressida Dick says Mr Rotana, who was originally from New Zealand, leaves a partner and son. He was killed after being shot in Croydon in the early hours of this morning. A 23-year-old suspect is in a critical condition in hospital after sustaining gunshot wounds himself. A plan's being announced tomorrow to help stop future pandemics. It will be launched by Boris Johnson in a pre-recorded message to the United Nations. He'll tell world leaders to overcome their differences and repair what he calls these ugly rifts in the fight against coronavirus. Local lockdowns are being brought in for more cities in the north of England and Wales. Households will be banned from mixing in places like Leeds, Stockport and the Welsh capital Cardiff. Meanwhile, the UK's coronavirus reproduction rate has increased to between 1.2 and 1.5. Nearly 6,900 people tested positive for the illness in the latest daily figures. Dr Bharat Pankania, an infectious diseases expert, says the latest lockdown restrictions are necessary to stop the illness spreading.
The more you interact with human beings, the greater the chances of creating new cases and then that concertinas across the country. The sooner you put in your interventions, no matter how disliked and unpopular they are, the better you regain control sooner.
Two television journalists have been stabbed in the centre of Paris. It happened near the former headquarters of the satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo. And a rat has been awarded a gold medal, the animal equivalent of the George Cross, for saving around 60 lives. Magawa has sniffed out 39 landmines in Cambodia. That's the latest. I'm Daryl Jackson.
Talk Radio. Talk Radio. Across the UK. Late night with Cristo Foufas on Talk.
With you until 1 o'clock. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call. You can call about anything you like now. Any other business. There's a few things that we will throw into the mix. As always, we will be doing just after midnight Woke of the Week. If you have a nomination that you would like to be considered or voted on for Woke of the Week, and your nomination will also count as a vote if it makes it to the shortlist. Do you see what I mean? So, if you'd like to do that, 0344 499 1000, or you can tweet me, Cristo_radio. My direct messages are open. I'll try and remember to check them. This is, of course, the time where we award the wokest woke of the week to something that is overly woke, something that is not perhaps looking for social justice, for legal equality, which you and I all agree everyone has the right to. But the things that make you go, what? What? That's racist now? Oh, God, what? The sky is homophobic? What? You're offended by peanuts? Do you know what I mean? All those sorts of things where you just think, oh no, I can't take it anymore. So I've got a few nominees up my sleeve, as always. It's been a good week for it this week, actually. But you're so good at spotting these stories. Last week I thought I had one or two really good ones, and the ones you came up with were far better. Am I allowed to admit that? Oh my God, they're producing the show for me. 0344 499 1000. So get in your calls right now. Of course, though, as well as any other business, if you wish to reflect on the horrific events in Croydon earlier today with the shooting of that officer, then of course you can do that. You can reflect on what has got us to this stage, and a few other things as well that I might throw in. But let's go to Sylvia in Yorkshire. Hey,
Hello,
Sylvia.
Christo. Well, I've been listening to you talking to the lady before about the coronavirus, and I don't buy into it. I know I've spoke to you about it, and you said it's a pity that we didn't go in lockdown a lot earlier.
Well, I didn't say it's a. Oh yes, back in March. Sorry, I thought you meant now. Yes, back in March. I think it's obvious that.
Yes, from the beginning. And what I'm saying is, when you think from the beginning how we all went about it, and I find now it's cruel, the situation that's happening in this country and the deterioration with everything. Name it, the theatres, the pubs, the football. These students are going to be housed and they can't stay out of their little rooms. They've got to go in lockdown. Can you imagine what that's going to do to them?
Well, who do you blame then? Do you blame anyone for this? Is there anyone that you look at or not?
I blame them. They're frightening people.
So who do you blame?
I blame these two professors.
But it's not their decision what happens, Sylvia.
No, well, they're coming out with all this wave's going to come and all that. Now, we're heading into winter. Now, if we didn't have this virus, it'd be the flu. It'd be pneumonia. When Johnny goes to school and he's with a load of others, if one's got a cold or a cough, a lot of them can end up with it.
Well, yes, but my point is the scientists, Professor Vallance, Chris Whitty, that is their job to advise. They're the chief medical officer and they're the chief scientific advisor. That is their job. It's not their job to actually implement it. The job of who implements it is those politicians in charge. So the point have been continually making, and you might agree with it or not, Sylvia, is that looking at Boris's level of detail, looking at the other areas where Boris has been perhaps not very honest or not very not very detailed, not really across the whole of the detail of the situation. The words he gave to the Select Committee last week, twice, where he said the wrong advice. To me, I'm not satisfied enough that when Boris is in a room with those people, that the right questions are being asked, the right level of detail is being gone into. And I keep referring to this comparison, and I probably will to the day I die, but could you imagine Margaret Thatcher in that room with Patrick Vallance and Chris Whitty? She would have handbagged them, harangued them, questioned them, made them come up with data, more data, statistics. She would have not let them leave that room until she was satisfied she had every single piece of information, and then she would have reflected and acted accordingly. I have no faith Boris is the same.
What she would have done, Christo, she'd have said, right, no way is this country being shut down. We're going to learn to live with this virus. We've got to keep the country running. It's shameful. See these high streets, the number of shops that are shutting down. We're finding people now are panic buying, no toilet rolls. Why can't they go every week like they did and just buy what they needed instead of going wiping all the toilet rolls out?
Because people are stupid. Ridiculous. Because we are surrounded, Sylvia, by morons. That's why. Do you know what? I've said this before and I'll say it again. I look after the old lady next door to me. She's in her 80s. She is vulnerable to this. And what is so stupid about those people that hoard everything is that it just means that when I have to go and find something for her, and, you know, she doesn't know. She's in her 80s. She doesn't know she's got to tell me 3 weeks in advance if she wants loo roll, for goodness sake. So she will then ring me and say, oh, you know, Christo, I need some loo roll. I need a roast chicken. I need some fish fingers. And then I end up going to 5 different supermarkets looking for this stuff.
It's absolutely diabolical. Can I go on?
And that spreads around the illness as well. If I was asymptomatic, I then have gone to 5 different supermarkets to try and get what I could have got at one. So it actually defeats as well us all trying to sort of minimise our movements. Go on, Sylvia.
But what I would just like to say to Boris Johnson, you're bringing out that many different messages out that people in this country are losing faith with what you are telling the public to do. And also, it's tragic what's happened to this policeman. But can I just tell you, what I would think, I'm looking in hindsight, he was in the custody suite. Now, when you go into a court, I've been in, you're frisked, your handbag and your body. And I can't understand how he was able, I don't know what it's like in these custody, I'm not familiar, but how he was not frisked and checked when it to find this weapon on him.
Well, we don't know what exactly happened, but you're quite right. Clearly, something went catastrophically wrong that a suspect was able to be in a custody centre like that and have a weapon that can do that damage. Something has gone horribly wrong, and I really just hope, I just desperately hope that there was no controversy or no worry, no hesitancy around searching someone.
Anyone, Cristo, I'm just thinking. I know you can say we've got lessons to be learned, but it's true. If you go in a court, no matter who you are frisked. If you've got anything metal or anything like that, alarm goes off.
Well, I think he'd been frisked, but I don't think they'd got to the metal detection part of it yet. I think that was, from what I understand, again, details are a bit hazy, but that's what I understand. And again, that leads me to question, again, and I say this cautiously, but were there any concerns? Because you know, Sylvia, how controversial searches can be. And yes. I just hope I desperately hope there were no concerns in the station, or it doesn't come to light that the suspect wasn't searched for perhaps a political reason or a reason where the police were nervous about what would happen as a result of that search, and then therefore that led to this. Now, I'm not saying that happened. I just desperately hope that doesn't end up being the case.
Yes, and also what I'd like to say is, you know, when I think of society today, I don't think the police do a magnificent job. There can be one or two bad apples. It can be in all walks of life. But what I would like to say is we should respect the police, and I think the people in this country that do not respect the police are the people that are doing wrong, be it drugs, thieving, drunks, and all they want to do is have a go at the police. They want to put themselves in their shoes and see how they would when these have to go out and deal with all these type of people that want to have a go at the police.
But do you think that sometimes, I don't know, because we do legitimately critique what the police do, and I guess it's about the balance, isn't it, Sylvia? Because perhaps we don't critique them enough, appreciating the sacrifice that they make for us. It's very easy, and I've done it myself, I'm totally guilty of it, to be like, God, why the hell are they nitpicking and having a go at people in their front gardens and blah, 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 and the blooming police, and we're acting like a police state. Maybe we forget a little that they're only doing what they're instructed to do. Maybe exactly. We forget as well that in the context of some of our criticisms that we should also be mindful that it's probably not a job you or I would ever take, is it, Sylvia?
All I'd like to say is, Cristo, we should respect the police more, and it's so tragic when I think this is the second policeman that has lost his life in their line of duty.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sylvia,
thank you.
Really good to talk to you. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call here on Talk Radio. Any other business, anything you want to discuss, you are more than welcome to do so. Or, of course, you can reflect on the events of today, reflect on what's been happening all this week. I don't know if I've got the strength for many more COVID conversations. Do you know the two things I cannot wait to no longer discuss is COVID and Brexit? COVID and Brexit are the two conversations that I am sick to the back teeth of. Do you know my mother even rang here a few weeks ago? Did you remember when my mum rang? Were you were here when my mum rang? And even she was like, "You're boring everyone with your Brexit view." Oh no, that's why. I forgot. Yeah, I went for Sunday lunch. I went for Sunday lunch to my mum and dad's house, and it was the first time I'd been there in ages. and, you know, socially distancing, doing it in the garden, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, we got onto some subject, and I don't know whether you've ever noticed, but sometimes I do have a little bit of a anti-Brexit rant. It's very rare, and you'd barely even know I was doing it. It's so occasional that I do it. And I'd had a couple of glasses of wine, and apparently that's all I spoke about over lunch. My mum said it was the most boring lunch she's ever had in her life. She voted Remain, but she's sick to the back teeth of me going on about it. She really is. And she rang here to tell me. So there we go. Alison is in Hampshire.
Hello,
Evening to you,
Christo.
Alison.
Hello.
How are you?
My first time calling you.
Oh, lovely to have you, Alison.
Thank
you
you.
for taking the time to call me. What was it that prompted you to pick up the phone?
I just wanted to say, well, there's a couple of things. That your comments about Margaret Thatcher in the week, I think, were spot on.
Oh, great. All right. I mean, am I too obsessed with her, do you think? Because my solution, it seems that every single conversation I ever have, the solution is Margaret Thatcher being Prime Minister again. And I have a horrible feeling that I'm becoming an echo chamber.
Well, I do feel that she had more testicles than any of the government put together.
That I absolutely 100% agree with. I don't believe Boris could find his, even with a map, sometimes. Sorry.
I mean, the lady before you that was sort of saying that Margaret Thatcher wouldn't have done this and wouldn't have done that, but how can you say that when she wasn't put in the position that Boris has been put in?
Because I don't believe, with my years of experience of admiring her, my years of experience of watching her, my years of experience of reading up on her, I don't believe for a second, love or loathe her, she would have gone on television and put a foot wrong. Do you think she'd have gone on and said the wrong thing? Do you think she'd have gone on and not been across the detail? Do you think she'd have gone on television and been a bit woolly with her messaging? Do you think we'd have heard what she'd have said and thought, gosh, God, I don't really know what she means. I don't think anyone ever left a meeting with that woman not knowing what she means. Whereas when you look at then Boris, the fact he's all over the place, the fact that he doesn't have an eye for detail, the fact that he contradicts himself, the fact that he says, go out, don't go out, stay at home, don't stay at home, go and eat out, don't go and eat out, and then gets the details wrong when he's talking to the select committee about what is published on his own website. And so then, I'm afraid to say, I look at that and I think, well, there is no way, but if this is what you're like in front of us, ye gods, there's no way that you're better behind closed doors. And that is why I've no faith that he's across the level of detail that someone like Thatcher or some of our other prime ministers would have been.
Do you think that he's using Sage and Chris Whitty as an excuse?
I think, yes, I think what's happening is that I think the problem with Boris, and this is kind of part of why Boris is brilliant. Boris is brilliant because he's an entertainer, and an entertainer wants people to like them. Boris is funny. Boris puts on that act because he wants people to like him. Now, that's a brilliant attribute if you want charisma. That's a brilliant attribute if you want someone on your team. The problem with a leader who is obsessed with that is that then your decisions are motivated by whether people like you rather than what is actually for the best. And my fear is that Boris is not enough of his own man to be able to say, right, I've heard that, Chris Whitty, and I've heard that, Patrick Vallance, and I've heard what you've had to say, Sage, and I've balanced on it, and this is what we're going to do. I feel like when you look at the U-turns he's done, when you look at the fact that he says one thing one day, something else the next, I feel like he's flailing around in every single direction, and I feel like he's obsessed with what people think of him rather than obsessed with the detail, the fact, and what is right for our country.
I agree.
How we've ended up with him, I've no idea.
Can I just make another comment about this, the death of this police sergeant? It's very sad, and until all the facts are released, we can all read on the computer what they are saying, and that two special constables were the ones that detained this man and took him into the police station, and obviously didn't search him. I mean, I'm so devastated for the partner, the wife, the family, and I'm also sad for the 2 special constables who don't get paid to work to start with, and are obviously going to feel incredibly upset and distressed at possibly what could be the fact that they didn't ultimately search him properly.
I think that does appear to be the case, that certainly the more thorough search that would have found it maybe didn't happen, or if it did, it wasn't done properly enough. Questions are going to have to be asked, aren't they? But it's just a reminder, isn't it, that and it might be that someone did the search and did it horrifically wrongly. It might be that there was a horrific mistake. It's a reminder that these people who are in this position are human, and literally just the smallest mistake or the smallest change in procedure, perhaps the smallest change as a result of COVID rules, we don't know, could lead to a police officer losing their life in a second.
I don't think, unless you've actually been in the situation of being a police officer, that you fully understand. People that read it all don't actually understand what goes on in a custody centre and the procedures that they have to follow. And I am sad that he's lost his life and his family, obviously. And let's hope that it gives them extra training on what they have to do when they detain somebody.
Well, maybe, and maybe if COVID's involved, there needs to be a full reset of those measures in stations and anything that keeps, perhaps there was too much of an onus, and again, this is all speculation, but perhaps there was too much of an onus on obviously making sure that the suspect wasn't subject to COVID, everyone was socially distancing from them. Maybe they were worrying too much about the face mask and the sanitizer and those procedures, and in that and within that context, the search that was required was missed. And again, that needs to be looked at. And if those procedures need changing, it's going to be far too little too late for that poor man. But
he was just coming up for retirement. He'd just done his 30 years.
That's just awful, isn't it?
And he was due to retire.
That and Andrew Harper, it's just awful. Listen, thanks, Alison. Really good to talk to you. More of your calls coming up, including any other business, here on Talk Radio.
Talk Radio.
With Vodafone Superfast One Extra Broadband, you get a whole lot more than just super fast speeds. You get an amazing Apple TV 4K on us, original shows and movies with a free Apple TV Plus subscription for 12 months, and anytime minutes with no in-contract price rises all included. Not bad for just £31 a month for 24 months. Ready? Vodafone.
24-month contract, credit check and acceptance apply. Requires 4K capable TV, Apple TV Plus £4.99 per month after 1 year unless cancelled. See apple.com, terms apply. Vodafone.co.uk/broadband.
At AO.com, we know what the right tech can do. We've got wonderful washing machines that help you dress to impress. The latest in laptop luxury, so you'll work wonders. And consoles to raise your game. With over 100,000 electricals in stock delivered 7 days a week and over 170,000 five-star Trustpilot reviews, we'll get you what you need when you need it. Electricals made easy at AO.com. Terms and restrictions apply.
Thinking about going to Europe in 2021? It may seem like a long way off, but you'll need to act now. Because we've left the EU, you'll need to check and make changes before you go. From passports to travel insurance. Find out everything you need to know about travel to Europe next year at gov.uk/transition. Act now. Check the guidance, make the changes, and let's get going.
Can we have your attention, please?
Any idea what they're going to do?
This autumn, it's showtime on Disney+. Brand new shows and movies are coming.
Holy toots of Zadar!
Including the highly anticipated second season of The Mandalorian. Pixar's family adventure Onward.
Ta-da!
Discover the race to space with the right stuff.
I know what you want.
And new episodes of everyone's favorite family, The Simpsons.
Woohoo!
All these and more streaming this autumn. Disney+. £5.99 a month, 18+ subscription required, T's and C's apply.
Mindful Chef, Trustpilot's highest rated recipe box. Delicious recipes delivered to your door with fresh local ingredients, 100% British meat, sustainably caught fish, and no refined carbs. Go to mindfulchef.com now. and get £20 off across your first 2 boxes with fast delivery. Mindful Chef. Healthy eating made easy. New customers only. T's and C's apply. Go to mindfulchef.com.
Late Night with Cristo Foufas on Talk Radio.
So here on Talk Radio. Do you know it's all getting very, 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 very toxic online regarding low traffic neighbourhoods? Can I tell you what's been happening online? It's now got to the stage where councillors, there's one in Hackney especially, who's getting death threats based on the LTN and by people who are against low traffic neighbourhoods. I condemn those death threats completely, but I think it just goes to show how absolutely toxic the debate has become. And I've said more or less that online, and I've said that it's not actually responsible for the councillor to put the death threat online and attribute it to low traffic neighbourhood astroturf campaigners, whatever that means. And I've pointed that out, and I've pointed out that that's stoking the same kind of division that death threats divide with, and that's slightly hypocritical. And it's turned into a very, very, very toxic debate online at the moment. And of course, it is really toxic for low traffic neighbourhoods. I've got my second one where I live coming in. One that's causing gridlock at one end of the main road where I live. The other one is going to cause gridlock at the other end of the main road in which I live, which is now essentially a car park. Of course, you can comment on that if you wish to, or not. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call here on Talk Radio. It is, of course, the Any Other Business Hour. You can call about anything else you like as well. We've been paying tribute to the officer and reflecting on what's been going on with the death of the police officer this afternoon. I just want to remind you of the gentleman's name. I want to get it correct, so let me just look it up properly. And it happened in Croydon, in a detention centre, a custody centre. Sergeant Matt Ratana is his name, New Zealand born, and was shot in the chest. And the suspect was still in handcuffs. That's what we know so far, and that's how the BBC are reporting it. When I go to the Mail and the Sun, let's see what they've got to say about this absolutely horrific crime. Well, he was described as a big friendly bear, a true gent, and apparently his colleagues at the station are absolutely heartbroken. 29 years he served on the force. Really, really sad. Apparently he coached the players Hove Rugby and also East Grinstead as well. 23-year-old suspect. The Sun are reporting that he did turn the gun on himself. There was another report earlier saying that it was perhaps some sort of struggle that caused the suspect to end up being shot. Apparently what happened was, according to the Sun, and sometimes because they've got people on the scene, they do get that level of detail that perhaps other news organisations don't. They're reporting that after being taken to the station in the van, the suspect pulled out the revolver from his trousers and fired at the custody sergeant as he was about to check him with a metal detector. His partner of 4 years was said to be devastated, and her sister, Amanda Tessier, a community nurse, said to the Sun newspaper he was a great, big, friendly bear of a man, one of the loveliest men you could meet. He was dedicated to being a police officer and had almost 30 years of service. Awful, awful story. Really, really is. Okay, let's go to Lee, who is in Duns Borders. Hello, Lee.
Hello, Christo.
What have you got to say tonight?
Well, I was actually just thinking about the potential of going into a second lockdown, and I was looking back at the experience I had in the first lockdown, and I'm actually quite thankful for the first lockdown because it's kind of, for two reasons. It's, one, made me reconnect with a couple of interests that I used to have as a child, and secondly, it's also kind of allowed me to explore another couple of new hobbies.
Right.
So, as an example, I read my first book for about 7 years during lockdown. And it was a book that I'd got for my 40th birthday off a friend of mine called Steph. And it was called A Monk's Guide to Happiness.
Right.
And the book was only about 250 pages long.
Mm-hmm.
But I really kind of forgot how I used to love the peace that you find within yourself when you read a book.
And what did you find that from this book, or did that book mean that you could go on and read other books and find peace?
Well, yeah, because I hadn't really I think since I've left school 22 years ago, I probably only read about 4 books.
Right.
So, and it kind of took me back to one of my favourite books as a kid, which was by a New Zealand lady called Margaret Mahay.
Right.
And it was called, let me get this right, something like the Chewing Gum Rescue and Other Stories.
Oh.
From about 1982. So,
and when did you? And so you sort of stopped reading after that. Then you read this book about the Guide to Happiness, and now you're reading lots more, right?
I'm kind of making a conscious effort to sort of read a bit more.
Do you know what I find with books now? And does this mean I'm getting old, Lee?
Mm-hmm.
But I tried reading last night. I was reading Douglas Murray's book, The Madness of Crowds. Which I've been really interested to read for ages, and I was waiting for it to come out in hardback, not because I particularly wanted it in hardback, but because I can't actually read paperback because it's too small. And I was reading it in bed last night, and I was like pulling it away from me, and I was pulling it towards me, but I'm short-sighted, so small print, and I think it's quite difficult. So I just felt like a really old man. I was like, I can't actually read this; it's so small. That's why I like a hardback, because you actually get more space. But whereas on a phone or something like that, you can actually sort of zoom in and see the lettering. But I don't like reading on a phone because it doesn't feel the same.
No, it's funny because a lot of people sort of talk to me about Kindles, and I've never sort of read a Kindle. I'd much prefer. It's a bit like the other thing I've sort of got myself back into was some of my old musical taste.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been going back to sort of.
Why are you having this sort of nostalgia fest, Lee? What's going on?
Maybe I'm kind of wanting to sort of go back to the day when things weren't as mad as they are today.
Do you think that you get? I can't do a lot of nostalgia from things like that because it makes me sad. Does it not make you sad?
No. But then, in the same token, as I was saying to your lady that answered the call, it's also lockdown has sort of given me an opportunity to sort of gain another couple of newer hobbies. So one of the ones I was telling to your lady was I've started watching a guy called Dan Bell.
Mm-hmm.
And he does it's almost like a documentary, but in a fun way. And he goes around old American shopping malls.
Right. Why?
And kind of shows you how they have sort of become so insignificant now, given the fact that we can sort of order things online.
So they're open?
They're open, but when he goes round them, there's like the old lady on the Zimmer frame smoking her fag. You know, do you know that that would be my dream job, going and doing something like that, or going around old houses and looking at those sorts of things about how people used to live and all of that. What would be so much fun? What did you just do on YouTube or something? Yeah, he's called Dan Bell, DanBell.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up because I think weirdly I'd enjoy that. I like videos. And YouTube videos, and I don't know if you're a geek like me, but I love, and you're going to think I'm so dull, but I love watching YouTube things about like infrastructure and like going and visiting old tube tunnels and finding out how they were built. And you know, there was a really interesting documentary on a few weeks ago, I'm boring myself, about the motorway and how it was built and those sorts of things, and people going and visiting them and saying, well, this is why they did it like this. And when they built the M6, there was all sorts of problems with drainage and the houses next to them, and a lot of it's on a flyover. I find all that stuff really interesting. So I think I'd find someone going around an old shopping mall and the way it used to be. I think I'd find that quite fascinating, actually.
Well, do you know the funny thing? What I've kind of really enjoyed about it is he talks about like some of the anchor stores that used to be there, and I've never heard of half these companies or organisations. But I mean, some of the videos are actually when the shopping mall is disused, so it's kind of.
Oh, okay. Oh, God, even better. I think that would be amazing to go to somewhere like disused. Like that, or somewhere like a disused airport. I think isn't there a YouTube channel for abandoned spaces? I think there is, where people just go and. I mean, sometimes I think it's a bit dangerous where they sort of break into abandoned places.
Yeah. And this is basically what he does. You know, he does that type of thing. He just breaks in and yeah.
Oh my God.
But I mean, as well as that, I've come across things like cartoon wrestling, which I thoroughly enjoy, I must admit.
Are you having a midlife crisis, Lee?
Do you know, it's funny you should say that, because I've actually been thinking about...
Have you bought a motorbike?
I've not, but I'd love to...
Have you dyed your hair blonde?
No.
Right, good. Okay, well, that's two good starts. Go on.
But no, in all seriousness, I have been thinking about my life during lockdown and kind of what I'm not happy with, what I'm quite happy with, what I want to do, what I don't want to do. So maybe there is a bit of that sort of swirling around in the mind.
Yeah, okay, I get that. And you look back on a lot of old things in your life or things in the past. I understand that, but like I said, sometimes I think that takes its toll. I think it can be a bit sad sometimes when you do that.
No, it's something stupidly I've kind of wanted to do for a while.
What books have you discovered now then? What are the books that?
None per se, because where I live, we don't really have much going on. I live in a Scottish borders town which only has like about 3,000 people, and our nearest city is Edinburgh, which is about 50 minutes away in a car. So I've not really had a chance to get to, say, like a bookshop as such yet, but it really has, as I say, reignited my kind of love for sort of reading. So, and you made me really think now about the books that I used to read when I was little. Actually, like. I don't know why it's just flashed into my head. When you said about, what was it, the chewing gum thing? The chewing gum rescue and other stories.
I used to love Enid Blyton.
Mm-hmm.
And that has really got me remembering. Do you remember The Wishing Chair?
I don't know.
That was a book about a chair that it had little wings on it. And you used to sit in it and you'd wish and you'd go somewhere. Oh my God, did I love that book. Oh.
I mean... The other thing, while I remember, what my favourite book series, shall we call it, was the Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh, right, yes.
So I've kind of read all of C.S. Lewis's collection on that, you know, things like, is it Prince Caspian and stuff of that sort of nature, and The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe and whatever else the other
I think I read The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. I don't think I got into any of the other bits of that. But, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, I spent so many years in the closet, I didn't really want to read about being in the back of a wardrobe either.
I bet you were waiting for me, sir.
No, I'm so glad you brought that up. I've had that joke up my sleeve for weeks. For months. For years.
No, it has. It's been a strange one, because I've also went back to things like, you know, you were talking about retro computer games a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So it's kind of made me go back to sort of playing some of the old games on the Sega Mega Drive. And...
Oh, really? You know, I bought one.
Sorry?
I bought one.
What, a Sega Mega Drive?
Yeah, you know, the other night I was talking about, you know, retro games, as you said, and Paul Ross said about, you know, the fact you can buy a little, retro gaming thing. Well, I bought one. I bought one of the little mini Mega Drives that's got 40 games loaded.
Class. So
I've had a little retro moment myself. I don't know whether I'll play it. It was like 50 quid or something, so it wasn't like you know, it didn't break the bank or anything, and I just thought it might be quite fun to get that. So have you been playing any of the games or just thinking about them?
I've been playing things like Shining Force, which is like a role-playing game. So, yeah, loving that. That's about 27 years old. And I still love it today as I did, when I first played it.
And hang on, I'm just writing that. What was it? Say that again.
Shining Force.
Shining Force. I don't know why I'm writing this down. Shining Force. Have I heard of that?
I'm quite sort of. I really like the concept of good versus bad. And so, you can sort of choose sort of many different characters, from armadillos to samurai soldiers to ninjas to wizards to cyborgs and dragons and centaurs. And the one that really sort of captured my imagination in this particular game was a character who hatched from an egg. And he was called Domingo.
Right.
And he looked like a cross between a jellyfish and a Smurf.
Oh, and was he active, or was he a Placido Domingo?
He actually...
That was good. Come on, that was good.
It was, yes.
Come on, that was better than the wardrobe one, I think.
But I think his special power was he could freeze the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually getting a bit nostalgic myself thinking about that. I might have to kind of do a 16-hour shift on it in a couple of days or whatever.
See, don't you feel like a complete loser when you do that, though? Because the problem with a computer game, and I realise it's just mindless entertainment, but, when you watch a movie, if you spend 3 hours of your life watching a movie, you're nourished in some way. If you spend 3 hours reading a book, essentially all of those things are wastes of time. You don't need those things in your life, but they nourish you in some way. If you read a load of the Lord of the Rings books, you've achieved something, but you've learned something. Mm-hmm. What is the achievement you get from 4 hours on a video console beating the bejeebers out of someone in a kung fu game?
No, I totally get it.
You sort of get to level 3 and it's great. Well, I've got to level 4, great. But that's actually not going to add anything to your life. You're not going to have learned any. You don't even learn kung fu. You get it's just such a waste of time. And I'm not knocking it. I'm just sort of saying that it makes me feel a bit guilty. When you hear about these people that stay up for 12 hours in the night playing Tour of Duty and Fortnite and all of that, and you just think, my God, well, really?
It's funny you should say that as well, because I seem to remember somewhere on the internet reading that there was a boy in America, sort of towards the late 80s, who had drank so much water but not went to the toilet. And because he'd not went to the toilet because he was playing his video games for so long, that he actually ended up dying.
Oh, God. You're cheerful, aren't you? Did he? Sorry, I'm just going to look him up. So, boy dies from not peeing computer games. That could be an urban myth, Lee.
Well, it could be, yeah.
Hold your wee for a wee killed woman, apparently. I know it was a peeing contest. Did you know that? It was a non-peeing contest, according to this.
Wow.
So a radio contest. Oh my God, it was on the radio? God, we should. Hey, where's the producer? Write this down. This could be a show feature, right? Brilliant. We get these ideas forever. Okay, so it seemed a great wheeze at the time. A radio contest called Hold Your Wee for a Wee. The prize was a Wii video game worth £250, $250 rather. So what was that? 120 quid or something. Going to the person who drank the most water without peeing. A nurse, shocked at the idea, called on air to the morning rave show in California to warn that contestants were endangering their lives. But the contest went ahead with the host laughing and asking, "Is anyone dying in there?" Then a woman called Jennifer Lee Strange entered, and she and other contestants vomited. And then she dropped out of the contest, went home and died about 6 hours later. And a jury awarded $16 million in damages to her family because of that. So it's really, really bad for you not to pee. You're quite right.
I think as well, am I right in saying that if you drink too much water, you can actually drown yourself, or am I being silly when I say that?
You could. Well, no, there was there's a few really famous cases. I think one of them is Leah Betts, who took an ecstasy tablet, do you remember, and died from ecstasy. And I think what happened with her, if I remember rightly, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the case and has been the case with other people, is that when you take ecstasy, you're meant to drink water, and you do feel a real thirst. Not that I would know, or I ever used to take it in nightclubs when I was 18 constantly, but you feel not that I endorse it, I still condemn it as illegal, but it was the folly of youth, and you are thirsty. You're constantly thirsty, and you know you've got to drink water, and you're completely spangled out your head, and so you sip and you sip and you keep drinking it, and if you actually don't check yourself, you can overdose on water. You can drink too much water, and it can kill you.
Yeah, wow.
So certainly with people that have taken drugs, that's been the case. I don't know in other contexts where that's happened, but presumably it must have done.
Yeah, no, it's funny what that kind of sort of the stuff that lives with you, because the other thing that's kind of really struck a chord with me in terms of new hobbies is again you're going to think I'm really quite sad here. I found a channel whereby people have videotaped their journey on a train in various parts of the world. So, as an example, I was watching it's kind of on a loop each day. So one minute I was sort of going around the metro rail, whatever they call it, in like Bruges, Belgium, and then half an hour later I'm on the Bergen line in Norway. So I find that quite relaxing, I must admit.
God, you really are having like a resurgence of your childhood.
Yeah.
I mean, are you going to, you're not going to ring me next week and say, you've discovered Pampers?
Well, do you know, it's, again, one thing is I always have a craving for rusks.
I love rusks. Farley's rusks.
You know, the stuff that used to have as a child?
Yeah, Farley's rusks, yeah. Oh my God, they're delicious. I love Farley's rusks. Farley's rusks dipped into hot milk, so they're all because they're a bit rusky.
Right.
Otherwise, delicious. Or what my mum used to do for me when I was little is that she used to, well, when I was little, probably about like a year ago, was that she used to put rusks in a bowl and put milk on them and then put them in the microwave and then you sort of mash it all up. Oh, delicious. So I'm with you on Farley's rusks as well. They were absolutely delicious. I still remember how much I used to like them. It probably explains quite a lot. Listen, Lee, we've got to go because I'm so late for the break, but I've enjoyed our conversation, so thank you very much indeed. Any other business continues. Oh, and also, I haven't had any nominations, have I? Have I had any nominations on Woke of the Week? I don't think I have. Shame on you. Don't worry, I've got 3 nominees myself, but I want to know yours. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call late night here on Talk Radio.
Online, on DAB, and on the Talk Radio app. Talk Radio.
Ah, the open road. My bit of me time. It's why I use BP Me Rewards. Because who gets to choose the rewards that are right for me? Me, that's who. I can spend my points with terrific partners like Amazon, spend them on fuel, or donate my rewards to good causes. You can pick up the card at checkout or via the app. I love a bit of me time.
BP Me Rewards. Little rewards, more often. Download BP Me Rewards in the App Store to find out more. Visit bpmerewards.co.uk for more information. Terms and conditions apply.
At Vision Express, we know just how precious your eyes are. That's why, for every eye test booked, we're donating £3 to the Macular Society, helping to beat the #1 cause of sight loss in the UK. Book an eye test in-store or online today. Vision Express, proud sponsors of National Eye Health Week. Visit visionexpress.com for details.
At Ring, we've reinvented the doorbell. So no matter where you are or what time of day, you can watch over your home and the things you care about. Ring Video Doorbell streams HD video and two-way talk straight to your phone, so you can speak to whoever's at your door from anywhere.
Delivery.
Oh, great. Can you leave it round the back, please?
Sure, no problem.
And it's so simple, you can install it yourself in minutes. See, hear and speak to whoever's at your door from wherever you are with Ring Video Doorbell. Available at ring.com and selected retailers.
Sweaty palms, shaky hands. Are you heading for a hypo? You should stop and check your glucose, but it will take time, and now is not a good time. Relax. Scan with the Freestyle Libre system, the smarter way to check your glucose with your phone. You can do it anytime, anywhere. No routine finger pricks, less hassle. Go to scantotest.co.uk to trial it with our money-back guarantee. Always read the user manual for important product aspects and limitations. Talk to your doctor for diabetes management. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
At Morrison's, we're making price cuts on the things you buy every week. Like fresh fruit and veg. A kilogram of British onions was 75p, now 65p. And a six-pack of Gala apples was £1.60, now £1.19. And these prices will be held low. Morrison's, making price cuts. Majority of stores and online, subject to availability.
Late Night with Cristo Foufas on Talk Radio.
So there we go. Oh, well, there you go. Woke of the week, the Duke and Duchess of Malibu, obviously. Oh, okay, I'll add them to the list about that. Where are we with my woke of the week? I don't know whether you're interested in any of these nominations. Hang on. I've got three of my own so far. I don't know whether they're going to tally up with what you're thinking, but I'm going to add Harry and Meghan. I presume you're talking about the speech they gave about Trump. Well, not about Trump, about sort of getting out there and voting and not thinking about hate speech and all of that. I saw one of the front pages today was reporting on the fact that apparently the royal family had said that they've gone really too far now with that, which would seem to make sense. You sent me a couple of nominees earlier this week. Thank you, James, by the way, for that. And actually, can we put that nominee on the board, please? Because James has given a nomination and a vote for Harry and Meghan and their Trump video. So there we go. That's one vote in already. Should we do the other ones as well? Let me just give you a little rundown of some of the others, and we'll officially do the nominations just after midnight with the music. I just want to describe a couple to you to see how we're getting on, all right? And see, I want to test the water, all right? Let's do, I'm just going to look this one up because I'm just making sure. I want to get the newest one because someone, oh, here we go. Yes, you did make this one. You are right. Someone messaged me about this earlier this week. I just wanted to check it was completely correct. So far on the short list, we've got Prince Charles. Now, I don't know whether you saw this week. He was talking about the threat of global warming dwarfing the impact of the coronavirus pandemic, which, of course, would be quite something if he didn't actually take so many flights himself. So, a member of the royal family lecturing on climate change. So you got that one. They're all royal this week, actually. The other one, I don't know if you've seen, but Uncle Ben's are renaming themselves. They're now just going to be Ben's. Is it Ben's Official? Or is it Classic Ben's? Is it Ben's Official? Ben's Original. Ben's Original. And that is to replace Uncle Ben's, which of course has some connotations that people aren't very happy with, so they're going to become a more equitable brand, and they're going to remove the picture of the black gentleman who was on the front. The smiling grey-haired black man will be removed from their packaging, which actually I'd always wondered whether that was something of a to someone who doesn't know the history. I always felt that was actually quite a positive portrayal of someone who is black. But of course it has to avoid racial stereotyping. So it has now been Ben's Original. That's what it's been renamed as. If you think that's overly woke, or perhaps it's a good idea, then you can vote for that one. We've also got Harry and Meghan, and the other one as well which I think is important that we ask about, is the BAFTAs. Have you seen that the BAFTAs are now changing their criteria so that they can be more diverse? Actually, though, some of these changes seem to be quite reasonable. Rather than the Oscars, which have gone absolutely mad with these changes, what BAFTA are doing is that they are just adding more films to the long lists, and they're making more of the people who vote for them watch more films, which therefore would mean that there is more chance of a wider amount of talent getting nominated. Actually, I don't know whether I'm going to add that to Woke of the Week, because to me that seems like quite a sensible way of improving representation without sort of fiddling and getting too involved and saying to productions you need to change what you're filming and all of those sorts of things. So that's where I am, where my head is at with what the nominations are at the moment. Oh, have we got some more nominations? Oh, Alicia Dixon's Black Lives Matter necklace. Yeah, okay. I'm being told these in my ear at the moment. So what are the ones where we've got Lewis Hamilton. Your Elif at the moment is feeding me all the votes in my ear. So we've got Lewis Hamilton. We've got Alicia Dixon with the Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. And actually, that's already got 2 votes. And what was the other one that you said? Oh, why is Steph McGovern's show getting no viewers? And why would that be added to Woke of the Week? I mean, it is funny. I don't mean to love it. But, you're quite right. And this is the problem. You see, when I went to Loose Women, and I don't want to take all the credit for this because, it was a group production. But no, we really improved the ratings and we made it more newsy. And now, unfortunately, in Channel 4's wisdom, they put it up against Loose Women, which gets 1 million viewers a day. It's really good for a daytime show. And apparently one day this week, Steph's show registered 0. Literally registered 0 on the official ratings. Nothing. Like 0. Like, people think it's an exaggeration when they say, oh my God, Steph's show's getting no viewers. No, it's actually getting no viewers. It did not register on the ratings at all. I don't know whether that makes it woke or just perhaps a bit of a failure, but I actually love her. And then apparently there's the National Trust being nominated as well. We'll look into these nominations and we'll come back with official ones, and that is all coming up in the next hour. Late night, it's Cristo with Woke of the Week and everything else that you want to comment on, and all of that is right here on Talk Radio.
Talk Radio.
Mindful Chef, Trustpilot's highest rated recipe box. Delicious recipes delivered to your door with fresh local ingredients, 100% British meat, sustainably caught fish, and no refined carbs. Go to mindfulchef.com now and get £20 off across your first 2 boxes with fast delivery. Mindful Chef, healthy eating made easy. New customers only. T's and C's apply. Go to mindfulchef.com.
Buy the latest iPhone from Vodafone. And thanks to our annual upgrade promise, you can then get the latest iPhone every year with no upgrade fees. Yeah, you heard it right. It's simple. Trade in your iPhone after 12 months when you get a new plan, and you can enjoy that new iPhone feeling every year. It's a great time to switch to Vodafone. Ready? Vodafone.
Upgrade after 12 months, current contract will end. A new 24-month term upfront and monthly cost will apply. Terms and exclusions at vodafone.co.uk.
Divorce. It threatens the things you've worked hard for in more ways than you can imagine. Your home, savings, pension, and most of all, your relationship with your children. Don't let divorce in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic cost you any more than it has to. We're available to consult via video conference, phone, or in person where possible and safe. Cordell & Cordell. Our focus is on helping men in matters relating to divorce. Visit cordellcordell.co.uk.
The beautiful game, beautifully written. Keep up with the Premier League throughout the season with expert previews and in-depth analysis from our ultimate team of writers, including Henry Winter, Matt Dickinson and Wayne Rooney. Don't miss all the action, every game, every goal, every week. Only in the Times and the Sunday Times.
Things were going well for your small business. At Indeed, we want to see that happen again. We understand good hiring is crucial and you need people who will make an impact. Indeed helps you find more quality candidates fast while only paying for what you need, without any long-term commitments, thanks to our flexible payment options. Start finding your impactful hire today with a £100 credit for your first job post and get seen by more quality candidates. Get your business going again. Go to Indeed.com/100. Terms and conditions apply.
The wait is finally over. Onward comes to Disney Plus.
We're going on a quest.
Streaming October 2nd.
Dad left us a spell to bring him back.
It's just legs.
And we messed it up.
Two brothers.
We only have 24 hours to bring the rest of him back.
One crazy adventure.
Put it in O for Onward. Hold
Oh no.
What happened?
Looks like you shrunk me.
Disney and Pixar's Onward. Streaming October 2nd on Disney Plus. 18+ subscription required. T's and C's apply.
Across the UK, online and on DAB. Talk Radio on the Hour Headlines.
From the Sky News Centre at midnight, a long-serving police officer who was shot dead in Croydon Custody Centre yesterday morning has been named as Matt Ratana. The 54-year-old was killed while he was booking in a suspect who'd been arrested for drugs offences. The incident is being investigated by the Independent Office for Police Conduct. Shadow Security Minister Conor McGinn says his thoughts are with the whole policing family.
It underscores what a job we ask our police to do, a difficult one, a dangerous one that requires incredible dedication and incredible sacrifice. And I think today what the public, and I hope what the police will want to hear from politicians like me, is that we fully back them and that we support them and we value them.
More than 17 million people in the UK will be living under local lockdown measures from tomorrow. New restrictions are coming into force in Leeds, Blackpool, Wigan, Stockport and parts of Wales due to rising rates of coronavirus. Meanwhile, the UK's coronavirus reproduction rate has increased to between 1.2 and 1.5. Nearly 6,900 people tested positive for the illness in the latest daily figures. 2 people have been arrested after 2 journalists working on a documentary were stabbed in Paris. It happened close to the former offices of the Charlie Hebdo satirical magazine, which was the scene of a terror attack in 2015. Tesco is introducing limits on some key household items just days after its chief executive urged people not to panic buy. The supermarket chain says essentials including flour, toilet roll and antibacterial wipes are limited to 3 a day. Morrison's has announced similar measures, blaming evidence of customers stockpiling. Caroline Fairbairn from the Confederation of Business and Industry says we should have faith in the firms.
I've spoken to many businesses who are actually trading really well. So let's keep our calm, keep our nerve. We can get through this and confidence will be everything.
And the Queen is said to be delighted by the news her granddaughter, Princess Eugenie, is expecting her first child. The baby is due early next year. That's the latest. I'm Daryl Jackson.
Talk Radio. Talk Radio. Across the UK. Late night with Cristo Foufas on Talk.
How are you? Late night here on Talk Radio. And congratulations once again. You've made it through to Saturday. Well done, you. And, well, it's a new day. It's nearly the weekend. And, of course, that means in a moment we're going to run down some of the nominations for this week's Woke of the Week. We'll do that in just 2 seconds. At the moment, we've got some good nominations coming in. Some of them I'm not going to add to the list. Some of them I will. The only one I'm confused about at the moment, why is the National Trust on there? Someone's nominated them. Let me have a look. Where is it? Okay, so some of your nominees include the National Trust. Instead of preserving the history we all collectively own, they're worrying themselves about what should and shouldn't be shown to the public. Are you talking about the worry about their slavery links? Okay. We can add them. Because they've apparently been criticising Winston Churchill. So I think we can add the National Trust as well. Jacob Rees-Mogg apparently has called them a once great organisation. Apparently they revealed 93 of its houses had links to slavery. And I don't know what this means. Does it mean that they're going to stop people visiting them? Can you tell me what is actually going to happen as a result of the National Trust? But I am more than happy to put that on the list. But I need a bit more detail, Chris, as to why that's a problem, please. All right? Thank you. Should we do the nominees now? Are we ready to do the nominees for Woke of the Week? All right. Here are the official nominees for this week's Woke of the Week. Yes, it's Woke of the Week. You've already been voting. Is your Woke of the Week Harry and Meghan? Yes, everyone's favourite couple are telling you to not vote for hate. They are telling you, in no real uncertain terms, who to vote for. Or more importantly, who not to vote for. Is that pushing the royal envelope a little bit too far? Is it showing too much of a political agenda? If they are woke of the week for you, then vote Harry and Meghan via the normal methods. Is it Ben's Original? Yes, Uncle Ben's Rice, with its links to slavery by the word uncle being involved in the name of the product, meaning that of course it is demeaning because uncle and auntie was an expression used in order to dehumanise those people who were slaves. Is that something that company should still be worrying about? Is rebranding it going to solve any of that to Ben's Original? Or maybe you think it's a good idea. If you think it's a good idea, don't vote for it. If you think it's overly woke, vote Uncle Ben's. Or Ben's Original. I'll get the idea. Or just Ben. Is it the Black Lives Matter necklace worn by Alicia Dixon in order to, I guess, contradict some of the complaints that Ofcom got about the Black Lives Matter diversity performance? If you think that necklace was overly woke, then vote Alicia Dixon or BLM necklace or necklace. We'll get the idea. Is it the National Trust with their worries over their connections to slavery and some of their historic buildings having those links to the West India Company and all of those slaving links and all of those companies that had slavery years ago? 93 properties they're calling into question. If it's the National Trust, vote National Trust. And finally, is it Prince Charles lecturing on climate change? Very, very worthy for him to lecture on those things. But I hardly imagine that Prince Charles's carbon footprint is that small, with private jets, 4x4s, a security detail, and visiting various countries over the course of the year. If it's Prince Charles, then add Charles and vote via the normal ways. So, we have, at the moment, Harry and Meghan, Uncle Ben's, Prince Charles, the Black Lives Matter necklace, or the National Trust. Vote now and we will reveal the Woke of the Week later in the hour. And shall I do some of the votes? Let's see what some people are saying. Okay. Woke itself, Mancuna Man wants to vote as Woke of the Week. No, you can't vote woke itself. Another one here. National Trust being accused of rewriting history over their list of shame. So, Chris, I know we've got your National Trust vote. I appreciate that one as well. What else have we got here on some of the tweets that are coming in at the moment? Aunt Bessie's is now not moving the old lady. Are they? Is Aunt Bessie's now rebranding? You're kidding. I don't believe you. No, I don't think Aunt Bessie's are getting rid of... I can't find anything online to say that. So that's a false woke. That is a false woke. And we're not having a false woke, says Steve. Thank you very much indeed. Did we get Paul's vote for Alicia's necklace? We've got Paul's vote for that one. We've got your one, Chris. What else have we got? We're not adding Lewis this week, but thank you, Flo, for that one. What else have we got here? Paul, yes, we've got that. Oh, Paul, you also want to be... You can't vote for Uncle Ben's and Steph McGovern and the BLM necklace. You get one vote and it's gone for the BLM necklace. Laura has gone with Uncle Ben's. Can we put that on there, please? James, I think we've got your vote for the Duke and Duchess of Malibu. And I think that is just about it. Though I do love your tweet, Mrs. L, saying, I loved Enid Blight in the wishing chair. Favourite was the magic faraway tree. I'd quite like to be able to climb up into the sweet world now. Mrs. L, I feel your pain. Oh no, Paul wants his vote. Paul, how many votes are you having? Right, where was Paul's vote? Where did it go in the end? We're going to go to a corner. Paul, whatever you voted, whatever you said before, you voted for 3 different things 3 times. Whatever we put your vote for before, that's where your vote's gone, love. Sorry, that's democracy in this new age. Phil is in Milton Keynes. Hi, Phil.
Good evening, Christo. You're my woke thing first.
Oh, yeah, what's your woke vote?
By the way, did you ever have down the woke thing for about Coleman's mustard being classified as a junk food?
I don't know, but I don't think that happened this week, did it?
Well, it's a damn pity because I'm complaining that you never got it down as a.
Well, you should have nominated it. You know, you can't expect me to know every single bit of... I mean, I know I'm the woke warrior of Talk Radio, but you can't expect me to know every woke incident that happens worldwide. That's your job, Phil.
But can you imagine, though, Coleman's mustard is world-famous English mustard. It's one of the finest, condiments you can possibly have.
I'm looking it up. Coleman's mustard. What did you say it was? Junk food?
Yeah, they classified it as junk food.
Because you're talking about are you talking about the ban on daytime television on junk food things?
Oh, possibly it was that.
Yeah, it was that because our left-wing socialist government that we have at the moment that love just banning everything, they will now be banning daytime adverts. But unfortunately, due to the makeup of Coleman's English mustard, because it has 8.5 grams of salt per 100 grams, it has 12 grams of fat per 100 grams. It is quite fattening. And 13 grams of sugar per 100 grams. In fairness, Coleman's English mustard is a delicious food, but the reason it's delicious is because it's full of salt, fat, and sugar. Of course, it's delicious.
No, it's the mustard. It gives it that distinctive...
Yes, salt, fat, and sugar. So therefore, shouldn't it be on the list?
No, Christo.
Yes.
This is... you only have a little smearing of it. You know, it's a bit like anchovies. You don't have a bloody bucket full of anchovies, do you? You know, you just have a little few.
Actually, you are quite right. No one sits and sort of eats a jar of Nutella of Coleman's mustard. Sorry, that was me slipping. You know why I just slipped when I said that?
Yes.
Because I could do that. My partner bought some Nutella a couple of weeks ago because he made a cake. And
Nutella.
And then there was like half a jar of Nutella left, and I just ate it out the jar. I can eat it like it's mousse, like it's chocolate mousse. Oh my God, it is delicious. And that is like pure fat and sugar, and then like the tiniest bit of sprinkling of chocolate on it. But other than that, you do that too, Amy. Regularly, Amy on the knobs and buttons. And I sort of convince myself, I go, right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to have one spoonful. I'm just going to eat off the spoon. And I do that, and then I go, I'll go and do another one. Now, Elif, my producer, she does that with Marmite, which just basically makes her a witch.
Ah.
Sorry, love. Yeah, imagine eating Marmite from a jar.
I can't have you telling me that Ellie is a witch. You know.
Well, she does eat Marmite from the jar.
By the way, Christo, Can you ask Ellie to trim her fingernails?
Trim her what?
Trim her fingernails. She was on the television. You had her on the show the other week. She had these gigantic long nails.
Oh, her talons. She's got talons.
Yes, talons.
Oh, I don't know. Do you know what? Let's get her in. Elif, I know you're chatting away in there. Sorry that producing the show, you've got to interrupt you, but you need to come in. You're being spoken about here, and you're ignoring it. She's in the other room, chatting away. She doesn't realise she's the subject.
Oh dear, never mind. Don't tell her.
All right, go and sit down. Go and sit down over there. Go on. That's it. Because you're being slagged off here.
Oh,
trying to defend you.
I'm not slagging you off, Ellie.
What have I done now?
So Phil was complaining about your talons.
What about them? My nails.
Yeah, go on, give me so that people who aren't watching can hear. Go on.
No, but Ellie,
you hear that?
I know. I tell you, my back is starting to tingle.
Oh.
Is it? Why? Would you like those nails rubbed across your back, Phil?
I still have scars.
Sorry for bringing you in for this, Ellis.
Thanks.
Sorry, I didn't realise it was going to go in that direction. I'm really sorry.
Thanks, Christo.
I thought it was really nice you heard that. Phil wants to rub his hands down your back.
Yeah.
Oh no, he wants you to rub your hands on his back.
Oh.
That's nice, isn't it?
Thanks.
That's such a nice.
Yeah,
anything else that you'd like to harass my poor producer about, Phil, or is that it?
No, I was just going to suggest just trim them a bit, Ellie. Just cut off a couple of inches off your nails.
Some of us can't spare a couple of inches, Phil. That's all I'm saying.
I think I'll stay as they are, actually.
Yeah,
Thanks, though,
thank
Phil.
you. She's very happy with those nails, Phil. All right.
Oh my God.
Besides
Sorry,
which, she's very threatening with them. Sometimes, no, seriously, sometimes I say, right, I don't want to do this show tonight, and she'll come at me with her nails, and she'll go to scratch my face, and then I have to say, right, I'll do it.
No.
That's how she manages me.
I'm not surprised. I mean, she's got that look about her. I can see it in her eyes. But it's quite appealing, though, I must say.
Oh, yeah, and she does have that look in her eyes. Yeah, you're making me feel uncomfortable now, Phil. You're making me feel dirty. So, anyway, who is your vote? You didn't actually give your vote, did you?
Well, it has to be, if it's not Coleman's mustard, it'll have to be...
Coleman's mustard is not on the list because that story's a month old.
So, let's go for...
it's like pulling teeth, this.
No, we'll go for the National Trust. I think that's diabolical. You know, for goodness' sake. You know.
Okay. Lloyd Johnson has summed this up really brilliantly. Thank you, Lloyd, on Twitter, because it was such a late entry, I didn't get a chance to look at it properly. And he summed it up saying the National Trust are concerned that Chartwell, which is the home of Winston Churchill, has links to slavery, so is discouraging visitors from visiting it. Actually, I have to say that if I was to vote at the moment, that might be the one I would do. So there you go, another vote for the National Trust. Yours has gone on there, Phil, all right?
Don't cut me off.
Phil, you've had 16 minutes. How much longer do you want?
Oh, for goodness sake, I rang up about something else. But anyway, no, I won't go on that. But just to say, you're interested in engineering.
Oh, yes, about infrastructure. Yeah, okay, you can stay now because that's really...
Well, this is a great one because everyone thinks of Milton Keynes as a modern city.
Mm-hmm.
But however, they have two unique structures in Milton Keynes, totally unique. And they were the only two that were built in the 20th century. One was a railway viaduct.
Right.
Which is at Bletchley, which is like a flyover. It was built in the 60s, early 60s.
Oh, all right. That's quite a recent viaduct.
That was the only railway viaduct that was built in the 20th century. And the other one was an aqueduct.
Sorry, that is not the only railway viaduct built in the 20th century.
No. I said in the 20th century, because most of the ones you know of were built in the 19th.
No, I know that, but there was. You cannot say that it was the only viaduct built in the 20th century. I could name about three now.
Railway. I'm talking about railway.
Yes,
railway.
The DLR. What do you think that's built on?
Well, you're getting technical now. Yes, but hold on a second.
Sorry, I'm sorry to get technical in a technical infrastructure conversation.
Which one?
The DLR. The DLR is on raised, basically. They're raised viaducts that go across the whole of London. The East London line has got loads of viaducts.
That was in the 21st century, for God's sake.
The DLR wasn't. That was 1986.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh well, I've got that wrong then. But the other one was an aqueduct, which was which is a branch of the Grand Union Canal.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's amazing, that, right? Because it's a river that goes on a bridge.
Yes, yeah. and that is, because that cuts right through Milton Keynes to Grand Union. But anyway, so that was
And Milton Keynes, of course, is built, as you rightfully point out, as a grid.
Yes, based on... and I'll tell you what, there's a very quick little trick to learn. If you ever come to Milton Keynes...
Do I have to? Sorry, that sounds lovely, Phil. I used to go to Milton Keynes a lot because... Why did I used to have to go to Milton Keynes? Oh, I tell you why, because I used to sometimes stop off when I was on my way down from Leeds, because I used to be a member of a gym called David Lloyd. And there used to be an amazing one in Milton Keynes. So sometimes to break up the journey from Leeds down to London, I'd stop at the Milton Keynes David Lloyd. This is in my very, very fit days. And go and work out there. And I remember just thinking, oh my God, I don't know where it is, but finding it because it was just the most easy city to drive around ever. Obviously nowadays, they're probably going to close all the roads, put traffic lights on all the roundabouts, make it an entirely close the through roads and probably make it so cycling friendly that drivers have to throw themselves under the wheels of their own car on the M1 in order to sacrifice themselves for being so evil.
Well, it's a great city to live in. Also, I can tell you that it's a wonderful city, and it's so easy to get round because you have these vertical roads and horizontals.
Yes,
and
built in a grid.
The grid system. So you've got this based on the Roman system.
Yeah.
You have Watling Street and places like Fosse Way. Well, if you think about it, so if you think of Watling Street with an S for street, they run from south to north.
Yes.
So all streets, Roman streets, run from south to north. So South Street at south.
So have you got Watling Street in Milton Keynes?
Oh yeah, it runs right through.
Because Watling Street runs through. Because Watling Street, my grandparents used to live on Watling Street in St Albans.
Well, that's right, because it runs right up from Canterbury and it goes right through.
I mean, some of it is an A road, a B road. I mean, some of it isn't called Watling Street anymore. But yeah, you're quite right. That the principle of that road. I think some of the A1 was Watling Street, wasn't it?
I think A2.
Oh no, was it the A5? The A5 was Watling Street, I think. I think it's the A5.
Sorry, the A5. I'm thinking of Canterbury. The other one.
Yeah, because A5 is what. Because I remember as well that when I was at college in Watford, we used to go a lot to Milton Keynes and drive up the A5. Listen, thank you, Phil. Nice to talk to you. Okay, let's look at some more of the woke of the week nominees. Oh, James wants to change his vote. See, this is the thing. I give you democracy and you abuse it. This is why this needs to be a dictatorship. Right, Elif, can we change James's vote? He wants to take it off Harry and Meghan and he wants to put it on to the National Trust. That's the only vote change I'm allowing this evening because otherwise we're going to be like going round in circles. Now Steve has voted for Coleman's Mustard. Coleman's Mustard is not nominated. That was a month ago. I'm not giving you democracy anymore. I'm just going to decide on the woke of the week. You're not going to get the chance to vote. Ben's Rice, rebranding from what I always saw as a positive image to genericism. Mancuna Man, you've really summed that up. I absolutely acknowledge the historic links to slavery that the term Uncle Ben's has. And an acknowledgement of that perhaps on the back of the rice packet, I would absolutely get. But I never used to look at the image of Uncle Ben and think, oh my God, that's racist. I used to think, oh great, I never knew that this black gentleman had started this entire empire that made all of these amazing foods. And that's how I always perceived it. And so I wonder whether the younger generation are now being robbed of what they would have seen as a positive image because of the history that they might not have even known. So I get your point, Mancuna Man. Sam is going for Uncle Ben's Rice. No one admitted asking for this. Another one here as well. I presume as well, Lloyd, you're voting for National Trust. So have we got the extra Uncle Ben's Rice vote and the National Trust vote from Lloyd as well? Any others? Cristo Foufas fan now says it's Ben's final answer. Well, I think that was the vote you originally had, Paul, so thank you. Was Aunt Bessie married to Uncle Ben? Oh, we're not getting into that. I've no idea. Thank you. What else have we got here? I think yeah, we'll do them in a moment. Elif's getting annoyed with me because I'm late for my break, so I'm going to go for my break. Otherwise, the talons will be scratching. So I'll be back in a moment here on Talk Radio.
Talk Radio.
Drive with Dan Wootton on Talk Radio with Fabulous Magazine from The Sun. Listen to the hardest working Dan in show business for breaking news, straight talking opinion and exclusive interviews.
Plus, I'll be joined by The Sun's Fabulous Magazine squad to discuss everything from fashion, health and new beauty trends to the latest celebrity and entertainment stories.
Drive with Dan Wootton, Monday afternoon from 4 on Talk Radio with Fabulous Magazine from The Sun. Pick up the paper every day for your dose of Fab Daily.
Can we have your attention, please?
Any idea what they're gonna do?
This autumn, it's showtime on Disney+. Brand new shows and movies are coming.
Holy tooth of Zadar!
Including the highly anticipated second season of The Mandalorian. Pixar's family adventure Onward.
Ta-da!
Discover the race to space with the right stuff.
I know what you want.
And new episodes of everyone's favourite family, The Simpsons.
Woohoo!
All these and more streaming this autumn. Disney+. £5.99 a month, 18 plus subscription required, T's and C's apply.
Fillet of fish from a dish. Share box and evening frocks. Big Mac down a cul-de-sac and even under a drying rack. Veggie deluxe and power cuts. Medium fries and rainy skies. Or maybe cheeseburgers in the bath. How daft. Wraps through cat flaps, nugs on rugs, or perhaps a McChicken sandwich to the river. Because yes, we deliver. Download Uber Eats and enjoy McDonald's at home. At participating McDonald's, see mcdonalds.co.uk/McDelivery to see if there's one near you. Serving times and delivery fee apply. See Uber Eats app.
Nissan Sunderland factory is building cars again, and we're ready to get Britain moving. That's why this summer selected Nissan models come with a 3-month payment holiday, plus free roadside assistance, all at only 0% APR representative. We've built the cars, we've built the offers. Now it's time to get you back in the driving seat. See how we can help you at nissan.co.uk/payment holiday. And together, let's move beyond. PCP Nissan Finance. Order and register by 30th September 2020. Participating dealers only. Nissan. Innovation that excites.
You buy a treadmill, it has a mind of its own.
Speed 10, 15, 40.
Sadly, we can't help you run any faster. But when you pay with a Visa debit or credit card and the seller won't refund you, you could still get your money back. Which you can use to buy a new treadmill. One that respects your athletic ability.
Incline 30 degrees. Warm-up complete.
Search Visa. How you pay matters to find out more. Refunds are not guaranteed. Your statutory rights are not affected. Contact your bank to discuss your options.
Late Night with Cristo Foufas on Talk Radio.
I start the week and I think, my God, I've got 15 hours on this programme, right? And by Friday, I think I need longer. I always think, God, I've only had 15 hours. It's not enough time. I've got too much to say. I've only got half an hour left. Let's crack on then with any other business. 0344 499 1000. And by the way, just very quickly, Woke of the Week, our nominees are Harry and Meghan lecturing on the election, Uncle Ben's Rice changing its name to Ben's Original, Prince Charles lecturing on climate change, Alicia Dixon's Black Lives Matter's necklace, and the National Trust discouraging people from visiting Winston Churchill's birthplace. And Flo has voted for National Trust. Can we add to the list? National Trust, one more for there. And another one as well here. I think that's it, by the way. So let's go to Wayne, because Wayne might have a vote. Morning, Wayne.
Well, good morning, Christo.
So, firstly, before we get to any other business, what is your Woke of the Week vote?
Well, it certainly ain't going to be the National Trust. I've got my 3 dogs laid on my bed with me, and they're all named after Prime Ministers.
So it's going to be the National Trust because you're annoyed with them then, right?
Yes, I mean, come on, leave Winston alone.
Okay, one more for the National Trust, please. That's Wayne.
No, I don't want the National Trust.
Why?
Christo.
But if you like the National Trust and you like Winston Churchill, I thought that would be why you would be annoyed with them.
I am annoyed. Oh, sorry, yes, sorry.
So you do want to... I'm not giving anyone to... This is the last time I'm running an election. Honestly, I now feel sorry for the Electoral Commission because I've got a very similar job to them.
One, DVLA.
We're not adding another nominee now, Wayne.
Oh, you wait to hear what they've done to me.
The DVLA?
Yeah.
What have they done to you?
Right, last year...
Yeah.
I bought a tuk-tuk.
Sorry, you bought a tuk-tuk?
A tuk-tuk, yeah.
Why?
Well, midlife crisis, call it what you want. But I'm in love with India anyway, so...
Yeah.
I know...
And what did they do to you about your tuk-tuk?
Well, I got it imported and I took delivery of it just as we was having a lockdown. And I used to park outside the bungalow, Christo, and the amount of smiles it would put on just for that. Because when everything was dumb and gloomy, the tuk-tuk there would put smile on people's faces. And I lost count up to 200 how many people, like ambulance drivers, policemen, would take a photograph of it.
Yeah, so you liked your tuk-tuk. Your tuk-tuk was popular with people. You showed people your tuk-tuk and they liked to look at your tuk-tuk, and sometimes someone would want to sample your tuk-tuk.
So, yes. So the grandkids saying, Grandad, when you're going to get it registered and you can take us back to school? And I said, don't worry, it's all in process. It'll get done. You've got to understand, grandkids, that things are on lockdown. Anyway, so I filled the forms in, Cristo, and it come back this morning that denied me registration.
Why?
Well, it's a 7-page fill-in, and you have to put tricycle several times. So I would have thought the person what was checking it knew exactly what it was. But what I forget to do is state the number of wheels.
3.
Thank you, Cristo. Thank you. Even Elif knew it was 3. But they've sent it back because I didn't tick 3 the DVLA. So now
Is that not just incompetent rather than woke, though, Wayne? I mean, I get that's really annoying that they don't know that a tuk-tuk's got 3 wheels. And I bet you probably as well they were worried if they put 3 wheels in and then it only had 4 wheels and then you died, they'd get sued. And so I kind of have a bit of sympathy for them. But that is a bit silly, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I had a lot of people banking on me. I even had a wedding. Like I say, most importantly, I wanted to get the tuk-tuk round town, get a suntan on my elbows, but now I'm going to have to register it next year.
Well, Wayne, we're sorry about your tuk-tuk, all right, my love?
Okay.
All right, you have a nice day. Sorry, I've got to start getting through some of these calls, but Wayne voted for the National Trust. I'm not adding the DVLA based on your tuk-tuk problems, Wayne. I'm sure you understand. Okay, Caroline in Paddington. Morning, Caroline.
Hello, Chris. Yeah, it's here. I'm ringing. You said it was anything we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, any other
okay?
business, anything you like.
Any other business. You know, we've got all these dinghies in every day.
Yeah.
And a lot of people moaning about that, but they don't realise, you know, the advantages of people from other continents coming into, you know, the British Isles. They don't realise the benefits of that.
I agree.
And, you know, I'm, you know, actually of that.
You're actually what?
I'm in favour of mixing things up a bit.
But I guess people would say, though, and the argument against it, I mean, I'm against the criminality. I'm against the people that are making money from it. I'm against the lack of safety. I'm against France for not actually enforcing it. Because if France enforced on every single beach this not happening, it wouldn't be happening and people wouldn't be getting into the water. But like you, if you're going to ask me to demonise every single person in those boats that arrive here at the UK, I won't, because I don't know who's genuine and who isn't. And actually, the moment someone claims asylum, they are genuine. They are no longer illegal. And until you know where they've come from, what their status is, what they're fleeing, and what's happening, you have no idea whether they're genuine or not. So therefore, I am not going to condemn them all. And I know that doesn't make me very popular on this station, but like you, that's where I stand.
Exactly. And, you know, I mean, at the same time, I do think we must secure the existence of our people for white children. But that doesn't change the fact that, you know, I welcome people to mix it up a bit, you know, at the same time.
No, I get it. I think that we need to be careful about knowing who's coming and how it's managed. And personally, what I'd like to see is, rather than these boat crossings, which are horrific and criminal and dangerous and immoral, what I would like to see, and I think we've restarted it now, though I'm not sure, is perhaps a more formal way of us doing our bit and taking some refugees, because in comparison to other European countries, we take hardly any. And in actual fact, when we leave the European Union, it's going to be even more difficult to return those who did settle in the first safe country, which is the argument that a lot of people have. Caroline, I got to go, but thank you. Appreciate you putting that out there. Lynn has sent me a direct message on Twitter saying it's Uncle Ben's for Lynn. So that's another vote for Uncle Ben's, please. Can we make sure that goes on the list? Thank you very much indeed. A few others here as well. Okay, let's go to the phone lines because we've got a couple more coming in. What is your woke of the week, Esther? Hello.
Oh dear, I didn't realise we were doing woke of the week.
We could do anything, but I just thought I'd give you a vote because that's democracy.
Woke of the week. Wow, God.
I mean, it could be Harry and Meghan, Uncle Ben, Prince Charles, the Black Lives Matter necklace on Alicia Dixon, or the National Trust.
I'd say Harry and Meghan. They are the woke of the week.
There we go, Harry and Meghan. Your vote has been counted. You see, every vote matters. Esther.
Am I out now?
No, you're not finished now. You can say what you like now. It's any other business. So what would you like to talk about?
Well, I mean, Prince Harry is the poster boy for the Kalergi plan, isn't he, really?
I beg your pardon?
But, I mean, he's very woke. He's oblivious to the dynamics that are going on in the world. He doesn't seem to know what's up. Yeah. He's got this unfortunate marriage where
No, I mean, I get it. I think Harry's lost his marbles, frankly.
Yes.
But anyway, Esther, you wanted to talk about students as well, didn't you?
Oh, yes. Being forced to isolate. So how are they going to, I mean, gosh, sorry to be crude, but how are they ever going to canoodle or get it on or meet the opposite sex?
Well, I think that's part of the problem. I think Freshers Week, there was an awful lot of that going on, and that's why it's been spreading like wildfire. But what really worries me is when you consider, when you go to university, you are finding yourself, I think, for the first time. It's usually for those people the first time living out of home. It's for the first time. Some people have come straight from school at aged 18. You're sort of finding your way. You're finding your friends. You're finding your feet. You're finding yourself. And that, it really worries me, the thought of them having to stay there.
Students are not reproducing, if they're not canoodling, I mean, not a reproducer yet. I mean, if they're not getting it together, and I'm trying to be polite here.
No, that's all right. If they're not having sex.
If they're not making connections. I mean,
if they're not having sex, you can use the word sex. It's all right. It's 24 minutes.
Can we say sex? Is that allowed?
You can say...
The rule of sex? Okay.
You can even call it sex, Sex.
But how are they going to secure the existence of our people and a future for white children and all that sort of thing? I mean, not even our children, but just generally.
Well, I mean, I don't know, Esther. We'll have to see. But I don't think it's particularly one particular race of children that is particularly affected by students staying in university, because from what I understand, it's all different ethnicities of students that are being locked down with COVID. But thank you, Esther, for that. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call if you want to have your say. It's the Any Other Business Hour and Woke of the Week. We've got a winner at the moment, or a leader, but there is another woke that is hot on its heels. You've still got 20 minutes to vote. Well, 15 really. So chop, come on. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back with more of your calls, more of your wokes of the week, all here on Talk Radio.
Across the UK, online, on DAB, and on your smart speaker. Talk Radio.
If you're loving our fabulous section on Dan's show, then get even more every day in the sun. We've transformed Fabulous, and our brand new Fab section is now bursting with amazing content on a different topic each day. From health on Monday to beauty and celebrity on Thursday. You'll always find something brilliant to read, and you can catch up whenever you like at fabulousmag.co.uk. And don't forget our award-winning Fabulous magazine every Sunday, packed full of the best fashion, features and exclusive interviews with the biggest stars. So pick up the Sun every day and make sure you have a fabulous week.
Mindful Chef, Trustpilot's highest rated recipe box. Delicious recipes delivered to your door with fresh local ingredients, 100% British meat, sustainably caught fish and no refined carbs. Go to mindfulchef.com now and get £20 off across your first 2 boxes with fast delivery. Mindful Chef. Healthy eating made easy. New customers only. T's and C's apply. Go to mindfulchef.com.
The wait is finally over. Onward comes to Disney+.
We're going on a quest.
Streaming October 2nd.
Dad left us a spell to bring him back.
It's just legs.
And we messed it up.
2 brothers.
We only have 24 hours to bring the rest of him back.
One crazy adventure.
Put it in O for Onward. Hold on.
Oh no.
What happened?
Looks like you shrunk me.
Disney and Pixar's Onward, streaming October 2nd on Disney+. 18+ subscription required, T's and C's apply.
Ian Collins, weekday afternoons from 1 on Talk Radio.
Join me, Ian Collins, weekdays from 1 p.m. And not just the latest news and breaking stories, but analysis from every angle.
Ian Collins.
I promise you, this is like no other current affairs programme out there.
Weekday afternoons from 1 on Talk Radio. Late Night with Cristo Foufas on Talk Radio.
Morning all, 20 minutes to 1 o'clock. I'm here with you till 1 o'clock. And then, of course, it is Martin Kellner who takes over. And if I remember rightly, I don't think, did we have time to talk to Martin last week, or was it the week before I didn't get a chance to talk to him? I can't remember. We will spare enough time tonight. No, it was my fault. I think I took a call like just as he was there and it didn't really work out. We're still taking your votes for Woke of the Week. We're still going for any other business as well. And if you would like to join the conversation, set the agenda, say what you like, the Any Other Business Hour is up and running. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call. At the moment, we've got Harry and Meghan with one vote, and they're lecturing on the American politics. Uncle Ben's changing their name to Ben's Original. Not going to say how many votes that's got so far. Prince Charles and his lectures on climate change. Alicia Dixon's Black Lives Matter's necklace, which has also got, I think, knocking on about 2,000 Ofcom complaints now. And the National Trust. And the reason the National Trust is on there is because they have been apparently discouraging those people who are wanting to visit Winston Churchill's birthplace, because apparently they're worried about its connections and its links and all those sorts of things. So that is the nominee list. Have your vote. Democracy in action. Oh my word, this is like the referendum. But unfortunately, it's become more toxic than the referendum. Or Mary, Queen of Arts, I think you did hear correctly what you just alluded to. Hence, that being slightly controversial. What else have we got here? I can't see a vote to poll on. How do we vote? You just tell me back on DAB what your vote is, and we add it here. We don't put it out as a poll on Twitter. We count up the votes on the scoreboard here, and then we decide. So come on back on DAB. You need to actually vote with this, please, if you want to, if you want your name heard, if you want your vote counted. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call here on Talk Radio. Loads of you sending tweets tonight. Kenmore has said that it makes us smile. Coleman's mustard is from Norfolk. Yes, I know Coleman's mustard is from Norfolk. Why are you all obsessed with Coleman's mustard tonight? I don't understand. Something happened. Has Mr. Coleman passed on or something? I don't really get it. Thank you, though, for those tweet as well. I love that, James, you're calling them the Duck and the Duchess. It's the Duke and Duchess, James, but I suspect you know that. Sam says it's very scary about what's happening with Winston Churchill as well. Thank you, Sam, for that one with the National Trust. I don't think that counts as a vote, but you're just saying it's quite scary as well. Mancuna Man, you sent me a great tweet regarding computer games, because I said earlier, how can you not see them as a total waste of your time? And I don't criticise people playing them. I include myself in those. And do you not ever feel guilty if you sort of wasted 2 hours of your time gaming, and afterwards you sort of think, you know, if I'd wasted 2 hours watching a movie or reading a book, I'm nourished. But if I just sort of play a Space Invaders or Tetris game, what have I actually achieved in that 2 hours other than getting to a level which is ultimately meaningless in life? However, Mancuna Man says gaming is not a useless activity. We spoke about gaming earlier this week because we were speaking about retro computer games we all played in our youth. Gaming teaches cooperation, encourages creativity and problem solving. It elicits peer learning. It engages and inspires us. It opens the world to new interests, and it rewards your brain with positivity. Thank you for that. What else have we got here? Haven't you learnt Twitter polls there yet? Dan's got ahead of you. I don't want to do a Twitter poll because then I'm just reading out the results of a poll. I'd rather you discuss with me. Tell me why you want that to be the vote. This is the beauty of having this amount of time that you and I have, because you can ring up and you can tell me, for 5 minutes if you like, why that's your nomination. So that's a bit more interesting than just a poll. That's why we're doing it that way. What else have we got here? Some of you, the tweets coming in. Oh, I had a message as well. Got another vote, by the way. Lynn. Did I say about Lynn going for Uncle Ben's? I think I did tell you about Lynn going for Uncle Ben's, because that took us to... Yeah, I think I did tell you about that one. Thank you very much indeed for that. Steve has gone for Ben's Rice as well. That's a new one. And also Trapdoor and Moomins to make you feel nostalgic and bring back Coleman's mustard and stop being mustardist. Is that a thing now? Mustardist. Do you know, I saw a clip on television the other day of someone saying that they're cyclophobic, or someone complaining about cyclophobia, and that's apparently a phobia of cycles, or a prejudice against cyclists. Can you be cyclophobic? Can you be phobic? You're phobic everything. Apparently it's true. Like, I tell you who said it. It's Donica. The Extinction Rebellion guy who we've had on the programme before. Someone sent me a clip of him on the television. I don't think he was on this week. I think he was on another time. But he was talking about being cyclophobic. I find that a little bit weird. Is everything a phobia now? Is everything a prejudice? Am I being prejudiced by even suggesting that? Probably. We'll take a look at the front pages in just a moment here on Talk Radio. And don't forget as well, I am going to be back on Monday night where we can do it all again. But you are still welcome to call any other business, anything you like, 0344 499 1000. And actually got 2 lines free on the switchboard right now. I think the other lines, we can't get through to them. So if you want to get your point on air, I'll put you straight on right now. So shall I just be silent till they call? Actually, if you're silent for too long, I think I did this once on a different radio station. I thought, oh, I'll be silent. They'll call. I'll be quiet. And then the emergency tape kicked in, because if you don't talk for too long, the computers presume that there's something wrong. The station's gone off air. How long is the amount of time that you don't speak for before the computer... Is it only 7 seconds? So if I shut up for 7 seconds and there's no noise on the output, the emergency tape will kick in. Who's on the emergency tape? Do we... So you've got no one, none of us... I'm almost tempted to shut up for 7 seconds so that the emergency... Don't we hear it? So it just goes out. But, well, hang on, how do we know what's going out then if we don't hear the emergency tape? That's interesting. But it's on because it's silent. So apparently, if I don't speak for 7 seconds, an emergency tape will kick in that we don't hear, but you do. Oh, I'm so... But it does send a message to all of the bosses at Talk Radio and all of the senior management to say that the emergency tape needed to kick in. So remember a second ago how I said how tempted I was to shut up for 7 seconds? Yeah, we won't be trying that. We won't be trying that. And I just want to stress that if any of the management are listening this evening, what an inspiration you all are to me, and how much I admire all your work and your hard work towards making our radio station so good. Phew, I think I got out of that one. Phew. 0344 499 1000. Thank you, by the way, Steve, for your lovely nostalgic television pictures. The Moomins and Trapdoor. I remember Trapdoor had an amazing theme tune. Don't open the trapdoor because there's something down there. What was down there? Did we ever find out what was behind the trapdoor? You're looking very confused. You're too young for these conversations, aren't you, behind the screen? And also the Moomins. The theme tune to the Moomins makes me want to cry. Oh, the Moomins were just lovely. What were they? What were the Moomins? Were they aliens or were they like hippos? I can't remember. They look sort of hippos but without nostrils. But thank you for that as well. Okay, Blake. I'm going to vote for Harry and Meghan. Thank you very much indeed for that. So that's Blake who's gone for Harry and Meghan. Oh, someone's heard the emergency tape. Someone has heard the emergency tape. Apparently, the emergency tape is Matthew Wright talking about his teeth the last time that went on. But he'd already left the station the last time it had to kick in. And so that's interesting. I didn't know that. So there you go. If you listen to me ever and you're like, oh my God, I can't stand him any longer, just try and be silent for 7 seconds. You got Matthew Wright. You won't have to listen to me at all. It'll be perfect for you. Is this the Moomins? No, it used to be far, far old. There used to be an older one to this. There used to be a
Here they are for one and all.
No, this wasn't the theme tune I knew. Let me have a look of the Moomins, because they used to make me cry. And it wasn't animated, the Moomins I used to watch. It was sort of weirdly animated. Am I thinking of the same thing as the Moomins? Oh, yes! Oh. This one, yes. Oh. I know there's nothing particularly sad about the tune. It just reminds me of being a little boy, and that always makes me want to cry. Oh. Okay, let's go to David. Hey, David.
Hello, Cristo.
Hey, how's it going?
The latest of these scams ring you up from in the radio saying your money, and you have to stop online. If you don't stop online, they're going to summons you to court.
Yeah, that's rubbish, isn't it?
I know, but any old people, they might fall for that, like.
I know, and that makes me so angry, because anyone who's a scammer is repugnant anyway. But anyone who scams old people literally needs to be removed from society and sent to another planet, because it disgusts me. You know, my old lady who lives next door, who I look after, I still feel a gut punch by the fact that someone came to my front door once saying that my roof needed fixing, and like you, I was wise enough to say, really? Yeah, why don't you go run up a shutter? And then what he did, and I'd not lived there very long, he went to the lady next door and said the same to her, and she handed him hundreds of pounds to come back and fix the roof, and he never came back. And I wish I'd gone and warned her. Why didn't I think ahead? Of course he was going to go to the next door. Of course he was going to go and ask her. I'm so angry that I didn't go and warn her, but I just didn't think.
Yeah. I'll tell you another scam that they were doing.
Yeah.
There was one bloke went to this door, and his arm was bleeding, looked like his arm was bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Can you give me £5 to go to hospital?" And somebody looked into it, and apparently it was fake blood. They were going
You're kidding.
door to door. They did, honestly, yeah.
That's so bad. That is so bad. David, thank you. I feel your pain on scams, and it's right to point them out. I had someone do that to me once, though. Actually, David. Oh, David's gone now, but I had a woman knock on my door once. And I used to live, it was one of the first flats I lived in London. It was like the ropiest council estate, but it was a block of flats and you had to get in through a secure door. And so I had the main front door, and then I had a front door to my flat. And she knocked on the actual front door to my flat, not the main buzzer. So that implied she lived in the block. And she knocked on my door one day and she said, "Oh, hi, I'm your neighbour." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "Oh, I'm really sorry, but the electric's gone out. Can I borrow a tenner or borrow a fiver?" That was it. And I said, well, yeah. And she said, "No, I need to put my children's dinner on, and they're about to get home from school." So mug that I am went, "Oh my God, yes, of course, your children. Yeah. I've only got £10. Take 10. You know." And she said, "Oh, I promise I'll bring it back to you later." I said, "Okay, we'll just post it through the door." Of course, I never saw her again in my life. And then I found out she'd gone to every single door in the block talking about her children. She probably made about £100 that day. But then I've often thought, what would I have been as a person if I turned around and said, well, no, sorry, don't feed your children? It's really difficult how these people do that. Oh, yes, we better announce that. I've got a couple more votes. Quickly. NW6 says, woke nomination for Alicia for the Black Lives Matter necklace. And now I think we can reveal, in reverse order, the woke of the week. So, we won't do the drum roll yet. I'll cue the drum roll. In 5th place with 0 votes, it's Prince Charles and his lecturing on climate change. In 4th place, it's Harry and Meghan with their lecturing on who you should or shouldn't vote for. In 3rd place, it's Alicia Dixon's Britain's Got Talent Black Lives Matter necklace. So, will the woke of the week be Uncle Ben's rebranding of their rice, or will it be the National Trust and their concerns over Winston Churchill? The woke of the week is Uncle Ben's rice. That is this week's woke of the week. Thank you very much indeed for all of your votes. Just enough time for us to talk in just a moment to Martin Kellner. I'm sure he's going to be there in just a second. A couple more tweets. I had a storybook called The Moomins and I can't remember much about it. Says Kath. And, Martin Kellner, are you there? Are you there, Martin Kellner? Hello, Martin Kellner.
Hello, Christo. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's coming up on your programme?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me what's going on in Leeds. It's locked down, basically.
It is. Quite right, too. I was campaigning for that before COVID.
Yes, I know. Yeah, well, they're keeping us all at home, which, as you say, is probably wise. Although, actually, because I live in Wakefield, we're okay. It's just that, I say we're okay, we're a medium risk. But my kids all live in Leeds, and obviously I can't see my kids, which may very well be it's a relief.
And are you going to be talking about that through the night?
Not through the whole night. We're doing a fair bit of football for our friends on Talk Sport. And also be talking to our man in Mexico who's got some very interesting stories about Volkswagen, who they've been made in Brazil for quite some time.
Listen, Martin, we got to go. I'm so sorry, my love, but thank you. Lots coming up with Martin Kellner. I'm back Monday night at 10 o'clock. Martin Kellner next, here on Talk Radio.
Talk Radio.
Score a bank account boosting 5k in cash by identifying TalkSport's mystery $5,000 footballer.
My name's Ray Parler. I'll give you 3 clues about a teammate that I once played alongside. All you have to do is work out who I'm talking about. Clue number 1, he made his Premier League debut as a sub against Sheffield Wednesday. Clue 2, he had a famous tunnel spat with a fiery Irishman. Clue 3, he made an added time sub appearance in place of David Silva in the cup final as Man City beat Stoke.
Text WIN and the name of Ray Parler's mystery teammate to 63320 for the chance to win a pocket-rocking $5,000. Celebrate a 5k payday with the Romford Pele, TalkSport's $5,000 footballer. Text WIN and your answer to 63320. Text costs £2 plus normal sending charge. Entries close 6 p.m. Friday the 2nd of October. 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly. T's and C's apply.
Martin here runs his own building business. He's got a tool for everything. Nail gun for nails, screwdriver for screws, and QuickBooks for finances. QuickBooks makes doing his tax return easy, automatically checking for the most common errors. Martin hardly has to lift a finger. Well, maybe one.
Visit quickbooks.co.uk for details. Intuit QuickBooks.
Mindful Chef, Trustpilot's highest rated recipe box. Delicious recipes delivered to your door with fresh local ingredients. 100% British meat, sustainably caught fish, and no refined carbs. Go to mindfulchef.com now and get £20 off across your first 2 boxes with fast delivery. Mindful Chef, healthy eating made easy. New customers only. T's and C's apply. Go to mindfulchef.com.
The wait is finally over. Onward comes to Disney Plus.
We're going on a quest.
Streaming October 2nd.
Dad left us a spell to bring him back.
He's just legs.
And we messed it up.
2 brothers.
We only have 24 hours to bring the rest of him back.
One crazy adventure.
Put it in O for Onward. Hold on.
Oh no.
What happened?
Looks like you shrunk me.
Disney and Pixar's Onward, streaming October 2nd on Disney+. 18+ subscription required, T's and C's apply.
With Vodafone Superfast One Extra Broadband, you get a whole lot more than just super fast speeds. You get an amazing Apple TV 4K on us, original shows and movies with a free Apple TV Plus subscription for 12 months, and anytime minutes with no in-contract price rises all included. Not bad for just £31 a month for 24 months. Ready? Vodafone.
24-month contract, credit check and acceptance apply. Requires 4K capable TV, Apple TV Plus £4.99 per month after 1 year unless cancelled. See apple.com, terms apply. Vodafone.co.uk/broadband.
Online, on DAB, and on the Talk Radio app. Talk Radio.
Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. This is Talk Sport.
A long-serving police officer who was shot dead in Croydon Custody Centre yesterday morning has been named as Matt Ratana. The 54-year-old was killed while he was booking in a suspect who'd been arrested for drugs offences. The incident is being investigated by the Independent Office for Police Conduct. Shadow Security Minister Conor McGinn says his thoughts are with the whole policing family.
It underscores what a job we ask our police to do, a difficult one, a dangerous one that requires incredible dedication and incredible sacrifice. And I think today what the public, and I hope what the police will want to hear from politicians like me, is that we fully back them and that we support them and we value them.
More than 17 million people in the UK will be living under local lockdown measures from tomorrow. New restrictions are coming into force in Leeds, Blackpool, Wigan, Stockport and parts of Wales due to rising rates of coronavirus. Meanwhile, the UK's coronavirus reproduction rate has increased to between 1.2 and 1.5. Nearly 6,900 people tested positive for the illness in the latest daily figures. 2 people have been arrested after 2 journalists working on a documentary were stabbed in Paris. It happened close to the former offices of the Charlie Hebdo satirical magazine, which was the scene of a terror attack in 2015. Tesco is introducing limits on some key household items just days after its chief executive urged people not to panic buy. The supermarket chain says essentials including flour, toilet roll and antibacterial wipes are limited to 3 a day. Morrison's has announced similar measures, blaming evidence of customers stockpiling. Caroline Fairbairn from the Confederation of Business and Industry says we should have faith in the firms.
I've spoken to many businesses who are actually trading really well. So let's keep our calm, keep our nerve. We can get through this and confidence will be everything.
And the Queen is said to be delighted by the news her granddaughter, Princess Eugenie, is expecting her first child. The baby is due early next year. That's the latest. I'm Daryl Jackson.
Talk Sport. Sports Update.
I'm David Spencer. Manchester City looks set to be without Gabriel Jesus for at least 3 matches after his injury against Wolves earlier in the week. He's now withdrawn from the Brazil squad to play Bolivia and Peru next month. After a week of disappointment for sports fans with delays to the prospect of crowds returning, possibly not for another 6 months, Billy Sharp has been telling TalkSport how much he's missing fans in grounds. The Sheffield United star says more could have been done to make it happen.
Football clubs are really big businesses who have worked hard to get football going again, and I feel as though we could have had fans in. We've had some pilot games which have gone really well, and you've heard from them clubs how well it's gone and how safe they felt, and it feels as though we've gone a step backwards, and is deflating.
That disappointment is being felt across all sports, of course, but the next tennis major, which starts this weekend, will have spectators, although the French Tennis Federation says it deeply regrets new restrictions that mean only 1,000 fans per day will be allowed to attend the French Open. It was going to be 5,000. That's now been reduced further because of France's soaring rate of infections. More COVID outbreaks in football have been confirmed. Orient's league game this weekend was already off because of the outbreak that led to the League Cup game against Spurs being cancelled earlier this week. That match has now been awarded to Spurs, who are through to face Chelsea. But also off this weekend is Grimsby's League 2 game against Cheltenham because a Grimsby player has the virus. In the Championship, Huddersfield have their first win of the league season, beating Nottingham Forest 1-0. Fraser Campbell scoring the winner in that game. Remember, our game day coverage starts with exclusive national commentary of Brighton Manchester United from 12:30, and we also bring you West Brom Chelsea at 5:30.
Across the UK.
Overnights with Martin Kellner.
Hello and welcome. Very good morning to you. It's Martin Kellner here on Talk Sport and Talk Radio. It's a delight to be with you, and it's a delight to be amongst our production team. Mark, who's in the production booth at the moment as we speak in the nerve centre there. We introduced Mark as an earthquake survivor a week or two back. We now have to introduce him as an earthquake refugee, because I read this week that area, Leighton Buzzard around there, that's been hit by an earthquake, has been hit again.
Yeah.
It says here, a fourth earthquake in 2 weeks has struck Leighton Buzzard, with residents describing the ground rumbling and their homes shaking as if they've been hit by a